The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hall of Fame, no opinions are the same. Lovely chocolate in the bin for the poll, who will win? Green soda wrestling, pimple dick ranting, air fryer Brussels sprouts, Maxi often cheats. Hey yo, let's start the show, CWF are set to go, many movies I won't know, such a fiasco. Max v. Cy was pretty crap, probably won't go back to that. Max needs to wear a hat, and he sometimes cheats. Hogan is a liar, but Barry Windham is the
worst
thing. Hogan is a liar, hear all about it on Chain Wrestling.
Hey.
Bonjour.
Hello. How are things, everybody? It's Monday night. Glorious, glorious times. Chain Wrestling is back once again with a match that I won on the poll, Maxie, so I'm very happy.
Fuck you. Don't ruin my vibe already. Not even 3 minutes into the show. I am happy. Well, relatively happy. We've got a new segment debuting. Don't go there and try and put me in a bad mood, because you know what'll happen. I'll just wreck everything like I normally do by being flat.
Yeah, you are a bit of a stroppy bitch. That is correct. There is a new segment this week on the show. Very interactive for everyone in the chat listening, and also people who are listening, watching, etc. via Twitter. So make sure you're getting involved there if you are listening to us on the old X. We will explain more shortly. It's going to the end of it is going to replace Hogan as a Billy Bullshitter. Mm-hmm. The beginning part at the start of the show is kind of going to fill in for a few other things, like Pimple Dick's not there every week anymore. Hall of Fame fame's going to drop in and out as and when now, Magsy, isn't it, really? So it's just kind of shuffling things around, keeping it fresh once again. Even though I know you do have a Hall of Fame entry for this week, I do not.
I do.
I have a couple of topics I want to just bring up and discuss and just get people's general thoughts, because I like it sometimes, Maxie, when we just have an open chat about stuff. I feel sometimes when we have too many segments, we get a bit bogged down, mate, don't we?
The floor is yours. What do you want to talk about, Sam?
Well,
do you want to do an intro first?
Well, yeah, well, first of all, I was going to ask, because we had a little chat beforehand, didn't we, before the show went live. What is it when you're feeling sick and you can feel yourself retching and it's coming up here and your mouth gets all watery with your own spit and whatever? What is it you call it?
We call that courtening.
Courtening?
Yeah. So if you're about to you feel the sick coming up and you hold it back, that's called courting.
Courtening?
Yes.
Right,
it may be a northern thing. It may be a Lancashire thing. It may even just be a ridiculous Burton thing. But we call it, when you're about to be sick, you're about, I'm courtening here. I can feel my throat tightening up.
Okay.
I can taste it.
Now, I have never heard that before. And I think there isn't actually a word for that down here in Gloucester, down in the south.
Well, put it out. You can adopt it if you wish.
Thank you very much.
Courtening.
I was going to ask people in the chat and so on. Obviously, we got listeners already. I can see listeners from up north, down south, in the States, wherever. Do you have a word for that? Is it courtening, like Magsy said? Is it something else? Because I don't think there is a specific word for that in Gloucester. I might be getting that wrong. Sharon, correct me in the chat if I am incorrect on that one. But
I mean, in Gloucester, it might just be, this is your evening meal. Like, evening meal. Yeah. Evening meals come back up.
Indeed. And mentioning my good lady Sharon, it's her birthday today. So we'll get on to that in a moment. It's her birthday, Magsy. It's her birthday. The first lady of the CWF. She is 46 again. Say hello and happy birthday, everyone in the chats to Sharon. Happy birthday, my wife.
I'm getting something in my ear. 1 second. I've got some breaking news.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Nealon. Our top story tonight. It appears that happy birthday wishes are in order. We are monitoring things closely as details continue to come in, but it seems... Yes, I have confirmation. We're talking about you, Sharon. Happy birthday! I'm not sure why you get the credit. Seems to me like your mom did the heavy lifting that day. Our team has discovered footage from one of the many celebrations taking place in your honor. And that's just the stuff we can show. Now for some deeper analysis, let's go live via satellite to our special guest commentator, Other Kevin. Other Kevin, what are your thoughts on all this? Speechless, Kevin. Wow. It's your birthday. The music's hot. It's time to rock. This birthday party won't stop. Come on, Sharon. Just wow. Insightful as always. Thank you. Well, I'm now being told that we are out of time and that I should pull this lever. I'm Kevin Nealon. Thanks for watching. Sharon! Take care, Jimmy. Thanks, Bob.
It is. That's fantastic. Yes, I hadn't seen that before, Maxie. That's really good, isn't it? Look at you, clever little fucker.
Happy birthday, Sharon. If it wasn't for Sharon, this show would not run as well as it does. She's an absolute superstar. So thank you very much and happy 50th birthday, Sharon.
You froze then, Maxie. You went happy and froze. What did you say?
50th birthday.
50th. Okay, right. 46, I think it was. I don't know. It changes every year. You have to ask
think
her.
it
Sorry,
was.
how old are you? 50. It alters all the time. It alters. But that is glorious. And Sharon's cake as well, by the way. Her mum bought her a special birthday cake. Oh my word, it's incredible. It's a Dallas Cowboys cake, and it stands like this freaking tall off the table.
Oh,
It's got
wow.
all this,
That's amazing.
it's awesome. It is so good. It is so good. And I just want to echo your sentiments, Maxie. This show wouldn't be happening without her, because there are times when I've not been arsed, or there's times when I've hit emotional issues, or there are times when I've needed a little bit of encouragement, shall we say, and if it wasn't for Sharon giving me that proverbial kick at the backside, then yeah, it probably wouldn't be going on still, I think, sometimes. So yeah, and of course Magsy Side wouldn't have worked if we didn't have her fantastic hosting abilities. So,
I mean, she was the best part. She was the only good part of that segment. That was a skip fire without Sharon.
We were shit at that, weren't we?
We were.
We were atrocious. Anyway, on that lovely, happy, smiley, positive note, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be watching or listening from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, an SJP World Media Production, episode 164. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the Brain Buster to my Says He Never Touched Her. The Feel the Heat to my Feel My Meat. It works because it's SummerSlam Night 89 and it's entitled Feel the Heat, in case anyone didn't get that link. I just want to explain it because I thought that was quite clever. A podcaster who managed to explain the new show segment to me in just 3 separate attempts, which I think must be a record, Mags. Lord Mags, I can ask it properly now, mate. How are you?
Do you know, I was okay until about an hour or so before recording, and then
okay,
I found out something, and it pissed me off. It really pissed me off. So, me and Mrs. Mags have been contemplating getting a camper van so we can go roaming up and down the Vales. Yeah, dogging as well. Why not? But just like for weekends away and stuff like that, you can just jump in the camper van and away you go. So we were looking at the prices. No, they are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So we will perhaps looking into converting a van or like a minibus, something like that, and cutting a lot of the cost out by doing it ourselves. So I was watching some videos on YouTube to get a little bit of inspiration, and a video came up that someone put out just this week. It's a YouTube channel called Six in a Bus. So it's basically this family.
It sounds
husband,
like porn.
It's not. It definitely is not. It's weird if it is, because it's a husband and wife and 4 young daughters.
Oh yeah, no.
School-age daughters. And they live on a bus. They've got a double-decker bus and they've converted it all and they live on a bus. But he's replacing his bus with a new bus that he's just bought. And his bus that he's bought was the tour bus for the darkness.
Oh, why?
So this bus had been out of action since COVID because obviously bands basically down tools and nobody was going on tour. So this bus has sat in Southampton for the best part of 4 years. Got a few mechanical issues, a broken gearbox, stuff like that. But the bus itself, it's in brilliant nick. And he only paid $4,000 for it. £4,000 for this bus. It's got
a proper kitted out tour bus.
So downstairs, it's got the lounge area, a big 50-inch TV, a fully fitted kitchen, toilet and shower. And then you go upstairs, and where the seats would be down like the opposite sides of each aisle, it's got 16 bunk beds fitted in, all fitted into the bus. It looks immaculate. Now, obviously, for a family, it needs a bit of changing up. You need to put like bedrooms and stuff like that. But £4,000. So I was fuming that I missed out on that. Absolutely fuming. So that's got me mad. But other than that, I'm fan Debbie Dorsey.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well, apart from your bus escapades.
Buscapades.
Buscapades, there you go. If you got a bus and converted it, you could drive down to Gloucester and you could come like watch Gloucester City play with me. We could go to the cheese roll. Think of all the fun we could have.
Yeah, but going to Gloucester City, I'd have to park in the car park that is called the football pitch, wouldn't I?
No. We've still got a car park. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That car park, when the floods came in 2007 and destroyed the place, nothing has been done with it since then. So it's a little bit on the gravity side, I'm not going to lie. But it still works as a car park.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we could. But we're not getting that bus now, so it's kind of ruined it, hasn't it?
Yeah,
we could have gone on a seeded ref jaunt from Land's End to John O'Groats. Yeah.
Like on Only Fools and Horses when they all go on what do they call it, the Jolly Boys outing?
Yeah.
We could have done that. That could make a good laugh. Yeah. So I think you're fucking selfish for not sorting it out, really.
Well, I mean, it has also put more ideas in our head about maybe getting a big fuck off bus. But
nice.
Let's see.
Nice. Oh, fantastic stuff. Magsy, shall we dive into the chat and see who has joined us? I was going to say early doors, but we're already quarter of an hour in, mate.
No, let's go for it. So first up, birthday girl and star, the face, the first lady of the SJP World Media Network. It's Sharon. It's Monday night. You know what that means? Yeah, it means it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Then next...
On that note, Magsy, very quickly, sorry. Sharon did say to me yesterday, are you still doing chain wrestling tomorrow? And my thought process was, well, yeah, because I didn't think you'd mind. But when she said it, I instantly went in defensive mode and thought, shit, have I fucked up here? Well, yeah, is that all right? And she's like, oh, yeah, no, I'd have been very cross if you cancelled it. And I was like, okay, signed.
Then why not? Why make you nervous then? Why not just say, oh, I hope you're still doing it?
No, I don't think she intentionally made me nervous. I think that was more my guilty conscience. Even when I've done nothing
I was
wrong,
going to do it anyway. Fuck your birthday.
Well, no, that's not quite what I meant, but I'll just carry on with the chat. I'm digging myself a hole.
Next up, someone who regularly turns up late, but he's actually turned up very early today. He says,
Hello, boss.
sexy peeps. And there's a reason he's turned up early. Cheap bloke. New pub quiz episode on the Motor Team Fitch podcast tomorrow. Well, nobody listens to that now, because if he's only turned up for that, then we're not interested. But thank you for coming, Morty.
He's also dropped you, me, and Sharon from the pub quiz because we were on the last couple. So
yeah, no, wanker he is. Sausage-looking motherfucker.
You watch the numbers now, just go. Just because Sharon's a
from
draw.
3 or 4 listeners to 0, back down to 0.
Just because Sharon attracts the listens, not us.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we drive them away. Connor from over the pond. Hello, sir. How are you? Dan says, "Oops, he'd forgotten about the quiz." Oh, was Dan? Were you on the quiz, Dan? Was Dan on the
interesting.
quiz? So they're all turning on us. How dare they? We've made a new segment just for these set of arseholes, and they're all turning on us. Ridiculous.
And there we go. Mark it down. 16 minutes. That's when Magsy lost his smile.
Dan does he does say evening, folks, and then says, "How was everyone enjoying the rain?" I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's horrible, isn't it? We're meant to have this for like a week now. Just rain every day. Ridiculous.
My road flooded, Magsy. In all the what would it be now, Sharon? Tell us in the chat. I can never remember. It must be 14 years we lived here, 13 years we lived here. Never had a problem. Down the road, under the railway bridge, every time it rains, it happens. Here, no issues at all. But my road flooded. Like, literally flooded. Because we had the hammering down, like, the proper fat rain. That's like your finger's going to knock the glass in or out your window panes into your house. It's that big, Proper hammering down. And then it turned into hail. And these hailstones, they were like the size of my head. It was fucking incredible, right? Smashing down all over the place. Like ridiculous hailstones coming down. And the hail just literally filled up in front of me like a cartoon, filling the drain outside the front of my house.
Wow.
Just literally filled it. Like somebody just tipped a bag of sugar into it. And then the water
the rain filled our moat.
Filled your boat. Yeah.
We had to pull the drawbridge up.
Oh, I had to burn more servants to get some, some extra warmth in the house.
Back to the chat. Morty says the 5.5 hour drive this morning in that rain was lovely. Dan, thanks for asking. And then Dan says he went for a wee. What is the word that we were searching for? So it's when you're courting. So when you have that feeling that you are going to be sick, yeah. So it's kind of like retching, but retching is usually like the physical movement. But
the action, isn't it? Retching's like,
yeah. Courting is the feeling that you get that you're going to be sick before it happens.
It's a really wet mouth and shit.
Yeah. And Dan says, happy birthday to Sharon. And so does Morton. She gets labelled the Queen of Spagos. I mean, is that a compliment? Is it an insult? You be the judge. Sharon clearly thinks it's a compliment because she says, thank you. That's a title I will forever hold dear. Oh, that's sweet. Badly played video games, aka Matt Lewis says, happy birthday, Sharon. Morty says, what just happened? I don't know. You tell us, Morty, what did happen? Are you on about my amazing video that took me all of a long time to create for Sharon? Sharon loves it. She says it's made her a bit emotional. Thank you. Well, you're more than welcome. Genuinely, you are an absolute superstar. You really are. I'm glad I knew this pillock in front of me just because we become mates with Sharon. And in fact, if I fall out with Sa for any particular reason, Sharon, me and you are still like that. Don't you worry.
It'll be a new podcast on a Monday night.
Yeah. Matt says that background has the guy looking at Sa like he's ogling him. Which guy? This guy?
Tully Blanchard at the bottom, I think, isn't it?
I think Tully Blanchard's looking up your. That looks like he's looking up your pants. But if you look at just above Sa, you can see my little head peeping out because I plaster myself as the anvil. So
take us away, Magsy. Let people see your work because I thought this Photoshop you've done is amazing. It really made me laugh.
Okay, I'll remove us both from the video. There we go.
Magsy Magsy must be one strong motherfucker to body slam me.
Morty says you're going to eat all of Sharon's cake, aren't you?
No, I'm not a big sweet fan, mate. I'll have a bit,
No,
but
same. Yeah, same. I'm a savoury guy.
yeah.
Matt then says he's off to play VOD Squad, but he will listen on audio. Thank you very much. He's non-wrestling topic. He's on what's that because he can't play by the rules and he has to be a dickhead.
So it's going to
then-
VOD Squad again. What is that?
I don't know. Video on demand. That's what
That's what he said last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you said last week. It was, but it doesn't explain where he's going.
Probably just to have a wank, I reckon.
Ah, the video on demand is just Pornhub.
Yeah, exactly. Darren thanks Matt and says she wasn't ignoring him. Yeah, but we all were, so that kind of balances out. Dan says, why has Sa been possessed by Muhammad Al Fayed in this intro?
I don't get out. What did I do when I did the intro that made me like Muhammad Al Fayed?
Has he not just been outed as maybe a bit of a sex pest? Am I thinking of the right person? The guy.
No, you're thinking of Puff Daddy.
I know he's been outed, and he's outing everybody else with his recordings. But no, Muhammad Al Fayed used to own Harrods, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been lots of complaints of him maybe being a bit of a Lester the molester.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was not aware.
Well,
in Harrods.
I don't know if he were doing it in the shop, like tickle, but
the Till Girls or something.
Maybe outside. I haven't read a lot of the. It's just popped up on my newsfeed that there's lots of people coming out saying he was a bit of a perv.
Oh, interesting. He's dead now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been dead a while.
Okay, Saint. Well, you carry on going through the chat then. I'll look it up because he can't sue us, can he?
Okay. Connor says at least the parking lot is still usable, unlike Wimbledon's pitch. Well, I think people would still probably play at Wimbledon more than they would at Gloucester. Glenn, hello, sir. How are you? He says, evening all. Why is that geezer sleeping on the podcast? Which geezer? Do you mean the cat?
Tony Blanchard again, I think.
Oh, Tully. He's just had a look at SARS Willie. That's what it is. So comparing. Yeah. And Glenn says, happy birthday to Sharon. And Sharon says, thank you. Dan says, he was on the quiz. It was an experience, even on his fourth one. So he's been there more than us, sir. We made that show popular. No, it's ridiculous. And Morte, rubbing it in his face, says, Griffin and Ben versus Millwall Chris and Andy Bang Andy. Well, I hope all of them lose. I mean, we like Ben. We like Ben. The others all can piss off. But no, I hope it was good. I'm actually going to listen to that. It's going to be a fun show. Sharon says 14 years. What's that mean?
That we've lived here.
14 years.
And that's the first time I've ever seen the front of our. It was literally water from one pavement to the other. You couldn't see the road.
Where I live, we don't get floods up in.
No, you're up in the hills, aren't you? Yeah, it's easier to throw stones down at the peasants. Dan says, "Isn't that just nausea? No, not like the headache and the feeling weak and dizzy and stuff like that. It's just the thought of being sick, and you can feel your throat tightening up, and you can feel your mouth filling up with like saliva. That's what we call corning. It's probably that moment, just a ridiculous just before when you got basically making the decision of do I run to the toilet or not. It is there in the back of your mind.
Do I spit or swallow? Yeah, that kind of thing. And Tully's looking for food in Sar's beard. Brilliant.
No chance, mate. No leftovers in there. I pick it out after every meal.
Sharon says, sorry, Dan, I didn't see your comment. Thank you. And he says, Dan says, I figured you were just queuing up the corny gifts. Sharon, something that sounds like something I would do on your birthday as well, Sharon. Being cruel and just hurtful to Dan. Just have one day off. You deserve it. Mort says Matt doesn't play by the rules. You're right. Same on our pub quiz episode. How's he got on a fucking pub quiz? We actively made a pact to keep him away from all podcasts.
I don't think he has. Because I think what Morty's hinting at there with the rest of his comment he sent in a question,
Okay.
but he didn't send it in audio. He sent it in
On
written,
WhatsApp.
which led to Matt Lewis impression by Morty, which apparently everyone has to listen out for. I can't imagine it's going to go well.
No, I feel that you might get blocked off all of Matt's Twitter accounts very, very soon. Dan says, just talking all pervy nonsense, and yes, Al Fayed is a recently outed sex pest. Very topical joke. And he said yes to all female staff members. Yeah, I thought it were. I didn't read a lot of it, just saw it all flashing up through my news feed. And then Dan says Fulham Football Club has had measures in place to keep him away from the female staff. He was that bad. Jesus.
Well, I've got a couple of headlines here saying that the former royal protection chief was warned the palace about Mohammed Al Fayed before Princess Diana went to see them. Mohammed Al Fayed had teen girls ride past him on horses so he could stare at them. And then there's a lady here, her picture, and it says that he sexually assaulted me in front of his children, says Mohammed Al Fayed survivor. So obviously a lot's coming out now. Mm-hmm. So not a good look, Mags, is it? Not a good look.
No, it sounds like he's a massive pervert. Anyway, let's not dwell on that, especially on Sharon's birthday. Let's move on. We'll get these last couple of comments in, and then we'll go to the next segment. Morty says his impression was flawless. Why does everyone assume the impression will be offensive? Because, Morty, we've all been involved in podcasts with you and your tag team partner Fitch. 99% of the time, things are very offensive on those shows. So why would this be the outlier? I believe it's going to be very offensive. And then last one for now, Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop says, evening, gents. It's pissing it down in North Virginia. Well, good, because it's the same as us. So no shitty disc golf today. Heading back to the start, and we'll watch at times two to catch up. Thank you very much, Graham. Fuck disc golf.
Why could you not play disc golf in the rain?
Because if it lands upside down, it's just going to collect loads of water in it. And then if you're throwing stuff, it slip out your hand. And
it's only a little frisbee, you just tip it out there.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just trying to make up ridiculous reasons why you play in the. I mean, you might get your slippers and socks wet, like the fucking old granddad you are.
If anything, it just shows a lack of commitment. To be fair,
yeah, not willing to get pneumonia.
Hard.
Maybe you don't want to get pneumonia from throwing a frisbee around a golf course.
Lazy disc golfer is what he is. A lazy one.
When he could be out playing proper ball golf.
Ball golf, indeed. Magsy, we have a new segment for the show, and it's very important that everybody in the CWF, everyone in the chat, everyone on Twitter, listening, watching, whatever, etc., 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 listens, because it will influence you for the rest of the show, because you have decisions to make.
Yes. Let's go for it then.
It is now time for the King of the Ring tournament. The Clash of the Champions.
It's very good. It's not right.
Okay, then. The Battle of the Belts, maybe?
Not a chance. Not this time.
For fuck's sake!
For fuck's sake. The CWF tournament.
Amazing.
It's indeed the CWF tournament, named so because it is up to you. Mixie, do you want to explain exactly how this is going to work?
Yes, so essentially, we're going to be having a tournament, and you get to pick the winner. Every week, we will, me and Sal will pitch a wrestler or a tag team or a faction, depending on what the whole subject of the tournament is, and you will pick the winner, and that person or team will go on to the next round, and eventually from you guys we will find out a definitive winner of that particular tournament. So we are going to have quarterfinals and then semi-finals and then finals. So each tournament will take 7 weeks or so to complete, and every time the tournament finishes, we'll have another tournament, but with a different topic. So this week's tournament, we have gone with who are the best current AEW wrestlers. So, like I said, me and Sal will pitch a wrestler each, and you guys throughout the end of the at the end of the show will pick in the chat who you want to go through to the next round, and the one who gets the most votes will go into the semi-finals.
There we go. And then, literally by a process of elimination, you guys will decide your favourite current wrestler in the AEW roster that Magsy and I have put forward, I suppose.
Yes.
That's basically it, Mags, isn't it? That's how we're going to go. So
yeah,
it's not a competition between Mags and I. It's literally you decide which one you prefer. I imagine Magsy will say some positive things about my pick. I'll say some positive things about Magsy's pick because we're looking for good options. On that note, Magsy, who have you put forward here as your choice?
Well, I instantly thought I would try and curry favour from the CWF because whilst it is not officially competitive, me and Si are both competitive guys, so there might be a little bit of banter in there. But I've gone for Adam Cole, Bebe. Amazing wrestler, absolutely lit up NXT. He was an NXT Triple Crown winner, longest serving NXT World Champion, inaugural North American Champion. He held the tag team, the NXT tag team titles in a Freebird style rule with the rest of the Undisputed Era. But even before that, he was an absolute superstar in Ring of Honor, multiple time champion there. In the Bullet Club, and then when he made the move to leave the WWE and went to AEW, got a huge pop, instantly became a top guy there, had one of the best bro friendship, frenemy relationships with MJF and Better Than You, Baby, where they even got a double clothesline over as a huge move. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm putting forward this week Adam Cole, Baby.
Okay. I'm a massive Adam Cole fan. Nowhere near as big an Adam Cole fan as my wife, though, as you can see in the chat already. All you did was say his name, and we've got a comment from my wife that says Magsy wins. So, yeah, you've got her vote already, my friend. I'd be very, very happy for Adam Cole to go through to the next round. And I suppose this is the sad side of things. This is the thing that's a bit of a shame with regards to this. Somebody has to be eliminated each time we do this.
It's all for fun. If it's man that wins, hooray. If yours wins, it happens.
I thought you weren't going to get competitive about this.
I'm not competitive. This is a celebration of AEW talent.
Okay. Stop being a dick about it. I am going for the other half of the double clothesline. I'm putting up MJF as my, I suppose, tournament entry, I suppose would be the phrase, Max, wouldn't it? Yep. I think this guy is the most talented individual they have on the roster. I'm not talking just in ring. I'm not talking. Everyone knows how great a promo the guy is. But I'm not talking just his promos. I'm talking as an all-rounder. How we spoke about Shawn Michaels in previous weeks against Bret Hart. He was probably the better wrestler, but Shawn was the all-rounder and all that sort of stuff. I really struggle to think of a better all-round individual than MJF on the AEW roster. And I think when you look at his work, I mean, he started in... I'm not even going to go into what he did before AEW with MLW and all that sort of stuff, because that's great as well. That's when I first saw the guy wrestling for MLW. But for AEW alone, we're talking, what, 4.5 years, 5 years, 5.5 years they've been running, something like that? It's not a very long time. In that time, he has gone from an opening card guy to then being very quickly involved in pretty much everything he does being complete gold. Whether it was his initial heel run, where everyone just despised the guy. I mean, I think that's his real talent, being a real nasty piece of work heel. I think he's fantastic at that. We then had the whole stuff with Jericho, where he was in the inner circle, and was he going to turn on Jericho? Was he not? And that was fantastic television. You were tuning in every week. I was tuning in every week to see when's that going to happen. Eventually, when it did, we started the Pinnacle, and the Pinnacle was superb, you know? Again, short-lived. Yeah, I've seen that comment from my wife. What a mark! I saw him first. It's
mean,
not exactly a big.
To be fair, I
Three.
saw him on the Rosie O'Donnell show years
There you
before
go.
that.
Was it really?
Yes,
What was that?
when he was a kid, he was genuinely on the
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell show. Yeah,
I've seen a clip of that, I think.
yeah. And I also
Okay,
saw him
brilliant.
get pushed by Samoa Joe when he was pretending to be security.
Yes, and he just shuffles a little bit and looks down, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, we then start seeing an issue that a lot of AEW talent, I think, suffers with, that MJF always seems to overcome better than most. And that is how storylines start and then get dropped, or they chop and change, or just don't go anywhere. The Pinnacle was a fantastic idea. I think a proper heel faction of MJF at the front of it went nowhere, got dropped very quickly. Jericho went on to do other things with the Inner Circle and so on. Real shame. We, of course, now have him as the real American champion and so on. That was a great gimmick as well. But in between that and the Pinnacle ending, we had some fantastic stuff with him working as a babyface when he came back from his injury, when him and Adam Cole parted ways. And again, they turned him heel too quickly, in my opinion. They had the best heel in the business, who is now a red-hot babyface, turned him heel too quickly, lost the babyface run, but he instantly managed to turn it back around to being a top heel again. Everything this guy does turns to gold. And then you come to his actual in-ring ability. You look at the matches this guy's had, and okay, we're listing guys who are incredibly talented, like CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega, all these guys. They can hold up their end of the bargain, of course. But when you look at Punk's best match in AEW, one of them was probably with MJF. Bryan Danielson's, in his top 2 or 3 matches since he's gone to AEW, was with MJF. Cody's best match. But yeah, that guy's name keeps popping up over and over and over again. To me, and it's no disrespect to Adam Cole or anyone else who's going to be in this tournament, to me, MJF is the guy. He is the number one star they have, especially now Punk has gone. But I think MJF is even better than Punk. This guy is the man. So that's my entrance, mate. That's my entrance into the tournament, and the guys in the chat can decide throughout the duration of the show between them, can't they?
Yep. So it's up to you, good folks of the CWF now. Who wins, Adam Cole or MJF?
So shout out in the chat. Probably just before we start the wrestling segment of the show, we'll give you a little refresher, a reminder, so you can change your mind. You can argue amongst yourselves, and so if anyone's joining the show late, they can shout theirs as well. And then we'll look at it at the end of the show to go in from there. And no, we're not starting a YouTube poll. Connor, mind your own business. Maxie, I'd like to draw your attention to a news headline I read on Twitter. That I'm not going to lie, at first it made me laugh, then it made me angry, and that's made me laugh even more. Let me just bring it up here so I have the headline to actually read out to you. Okay, here we go. It's from The Guardian, which is not a publication I read often, or at all, to be fair. But it's the headline says, British beer drinkers face the truth. A pint is too big, a half is too small, and all hail the 2/3 measure. Now, I am quite a simple guy. I have simple pleasures in my life. And I believe most British fellas have quite simple, straightforward loves in their life as well. Family, etc., sports teams, etc., hobbies, whatever. A nice cup of tea, a good fry-up, and a nice English pint at the end of the day. Whether it's ale, I enjoy a nice ale, I enjoy a Guinness. Cider's not my bag, but it's very, very popular, of course. And I enjoy a pissy Euro lager as well, whatever. However, this got my back up a little bit, Max, because I read the headline, laughed at it, and ignored it. And then later in the day, I actually went back and read the article. And it just tickled me with some of the things that this person is coming out with. The person who wrote it is a lady by the name of Ellie Hunt. I'm assuming it's L Hunt because it's L-double-L-E. So it's like that's just L, isn't it? Ellie would have a Y on the end, wouldn't it? Or an I-E or something.
Or an I-E, yeah.
Yeah, L Hunt, her name is. She starts off the article by saying, with regards to people should be drinking pints anymore, millions have always known it. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. With one sentence in, it's not a great start. Okay. Have millions always known it? Have they? Because this is one of the first times I've heard this being mentioned with regards to a British pub audience, Max.
That's kind of like when you see people talking about politics, where they'll say, everyone I know, everyone I speak to thinks this, and then you go, yeah, that's not everybody though, is it? It's just your little group of idiots.
Yeah. But millions have known it? Okay. We'll continue. This young lady, and she is a very young lady. She's probably not long past the actual legal drinking age, so I don't hold much water with her opinion, or her opinion doesn't hold much water. Apologies. She says after a trial in a dozen pubs, Magsy, a dozen.
Wow.
A whole 12 pubs in the UK. Now, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm willing to wager that there's, I don't know, a dozen would be less than 1% in the number of pubs in the UK. I would assume.
Let's have a quick look.
And when we first moved into where we are now, 14 years ago, thank you for sharing in the chat, I could walk to 9 pubs all within 5 minutes of my house.
So in 2020, there were approximately 46,800 pubs. So 12 is a fraction of a fraction of a percentage, yeah.
Yes, okay. But this is what this young lady, Ellie L, whatever, is basing it upon. She says that after a trial in a dozen pubs, bars, not just pubs, bars and restaurants, because that's obviously a different scenario. Again, you're eating with your drinks now, so let's throw that out there. In England, the trial took place. So at least they got that bit right. The trial was in this country. Okay. The study leader, Professor Teresa Marteau, who already sounds like a cunt, concluded that the change, which led to nearly 10% less beer being sold, could reduce the impact of alcohol-related harm. Now, I'm going to stop you there as well, because the study leader, Professor Teresa Marteau, sounds like some shitty knockoff Sainsbury's own brand wine, doesn't it, Marteau? She says that this experiment with 12 pubs, 12 pubs, said that it led to nearly 10% less beer being sold. Well, of course it did, dickhead. It's smaller glasses. What were you expecting? Did you really need an experiment to tell you this beforehand?
I mean,
dear me.
I agree with you so far.
Okay. We go back to Elle, the young lady writing the, and I loosely say article. I'm entirely in favour of the idea, she says, but only partly because of potential benefits to the population's health. Only partially. She has other reasons. Ever since I moved to the UK in 2017, and boom, there we go. That's the problem.
Not even one of us. Not even
there
one
we
of
go.
us.
I have felt that the British pint, and this will make you laugh, the British pint is simply too big to comfortably enjoy.
So get a half.
Right.
And stop trying to ruin tradition.
Yeah, okay. She continues. Even if you sip it slowly, by the time you reach the bottom, you are inevitably left feeling sluggish and bloated because of the vast quantity of liquid you've consumed.
Oh, do you know when some people think that their words are so important that everybody needs to hear their opinion, but really they're just a bit of a knobhead?
Yeah, I'll continue.
Fits in this category.
Oh yes. It's also, Maxie, unwieldy to transport from the bar to the table. That's
never had a problem.
Bloody hell! For over 100 years, this has caused an issue, and she's brave enough to state the facts now for years.
And to counter a point, when somebody does have a problem taking their beers to the table, and they inevitably drop a pan or spill it, the rest of the pub all go away.
Exactly,
because it's
and
fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious.
The final third of your pint is always warm. Drink quicker. There you go. Problem solved. Even if it wasn't served that way to start with, she says, then if you're locked into a round, you're obliged to do it all over again. This sounds very much like a list of her individual issues as opposed to a problem that is plaguing the UK's pubs and drinking scene in the
Millions of
12th
people.
experiment.
Remember, she said millions of people.
Millions. It's no wonder Britain has a problem with alcohol. Okay, so now she's attacking us as a nation. Every time, every time you agree to a quick point, which, let's be honest, normally ends up as at least 2. Well, yeah, that's the rule. That's how it works. If you don't, again, you would understand that if you're born in this country. We'll give you a pass on that one. You're committing yourself to imbibing more than a litre of the stuff. Is that even a word, imbibing?
It's imbibing, and it means
imbibing.
To consume.
Okay. Of course, you could always get a half, Magsy, as you said.
She's solving her own
logical.
problem. Literally, there's a problem.
There you go.
There's a solution sat right there for her.
There you go. You could always get a half, as one of my friends suggests. She recently switched to that as her standard order. Clever girl. And claims it's a game changer for painlessly moderating your alcohol intake. But I can't help feel shortchanged handing over £3 for a drink that can be downed in 2.5 swigs, leaving you to wait for your companion to finish their monster pint.
If you're complaining that it takes you ages to drink a pint, you cannot then argue that you can neck a half a pint and then you have to sit there tapping the tables because you couldn't have got a pint. The solution is there, get a half pint. If that is not enough for you, get the full pint because you're clearly keeping up with the people you're drinking with. You fucking clown. You absolute clown shoes.
Very nearly finished. The 2/3 pint is the perfect compromise, Al continues. Enough beer to feel that you've got your money's worth and can relax into the experience, but not so much that it leaves no room in your stomach for anything else. I have never had an issue of drinking 15 pints and fitting a fucking kebab in my goblet. I'll tell you that now. Okay?
Very true.
Never had a problem.
Very true. But where would it end? Because somebody would then complain, oh, a half is too small, but then 2/3 of a pint is just a bit too much. So can we have 5/16 of a pint? Or can we have 11/32 of a pint? Fuck off, you stupid Yank bastard.
Well, she's not actually a Yank. We're going to come to that now.
Apologies
it was a good
for
assumption. It was a good, well, okay, I said it was a good assumption, but yeah, apology is probably better. But we have here, I developed a preference for the 2/3 pour whilst living in Sydney, where the schooner, she writes here, is Australian standard. I certainly wouldn't say that Australia has a more civilised drinking culture than Britain, or less alcohol-related harm. The sheer range of measures available, a schooner, a pot, a middy, a handle, a glass, some differing by state, speaks to the beer's central importance. Right. Now, I'm going to leave it there because all she does is just talk more bollocks. But the reason the Australians devised the schooner originally, the 2/3 glass, was because it's fucking hot over there. And if you were to buy a pint, by the time you get to the bottom, you're going to get that last quarter or third being warm, whatever, as she is complaining about. That's why they devised that in the first place. And then she says that she certainly wouldn't say that Australia has a more civilized drinking culture than Britain.
But that was her whole argument in the first place.
Exactly. So she just completely contradicted herself.
Yeah. She's a knobhead.
So I think
you give her way too much airtime.
I think what Miss Toon needs to do is give her head a wobble. Stop spending so much time shagging koala bears or whatever it is she did, spending her time over there, bouncing up and down on a kangaroo knob or something. I don't know. She needs to leave shit alone. In her article, she even states the year 1630 something, I believe it is, where you can trace back to people drinking pints in this country from. Maxie, how many hundreds of years is that?
A lot of hundreds of years.
A lot of hundreds of years.
Yes,
okay. And this woman wants to change it. And also, I would like to point out that a pint is what, 568 millilitres.
Correct.
Half pint by quick maths would then be what, 250, 280 something? 285, 284. There we go. You can buy a bottle of beer, which is 330ml, which already does the job of the one in between.
And if that's not enough, but you still want to stay under the pint, you can get 500ml bottles, the big chubby bottles. So you're solving a problem that is, first of all, not there, and then second of all, has already been solved.
Yeah.
You are just wanting everybody to hear your ridiculous, stupid opinion about something that you know very little about, and you think that you're reinventing the wheel, that you have had this fucking eureka moment. Oh my God, I'm a genius. No, it's been done, love. Pints are there for a reason. It's tradition. You can't handle a full pint, get a half pint. That's too much for you. Get a shot as well. Pour that in. In fact, drink some terps. Drink some bleach. Get a pint of bleach and see how it that lasts you.
Her online profile, I don't think it's her Twitter profile, I think it's like her media profile, actually now lists her as a former Guardian writer. So I'm assuming that this might have been the final straw.
Tip the balance. Even the editor of the fucking Guardian has gone, love, give your shit.
What are you on about?
Yeah.
But there we go, Magsy. There we go. That's just something I want to bring to people's attention and point out how daft it was and get your feedback on it, which I'm very glad I did.
Yeah, she's a dickhead. You give her way more airtime than she ever deserved to have.
Maybe, mate. Maybe. Are we going to jump into your Hall of Lame fame now?
Yes, we are. And this one, kind of like last week's, is a bit of a, is it a fame? Is it a lame? We'll see.
Interesting.
Tizer.
Yeah, £1.19, mate, down the shop by me. Big 2-litre bottle of Tizer.
It's good. Yeah. Not wrong with a Tizer.
Yeah, lovely. I had it in years. Bloody lovely stuff. Anyway, Magsy, what you got for us?
So with this, it may seem that I'm going off on a tangent, but I will promise to claw it back. I promise. So over the last decade or so, one of the most culturally significant movies and then TV franchises that have been produced in this country is a film and then a group of series called This Is England. The film touches on a lot of very controversial, raw topics. There's a lot of racism, there's a lot of grooming, things like intolerance. It's very heavily violent, but it's also based in social inequality and the way the government essentially sets people against each other to kind of avoid them taking the blame for how they've made people's lives. And this led into the very popular TV series, which spanned quite a few years. And then we see kind of almost a snapshot of the transition of life in Northern Britain, how there was abject poverty, how people begged, stole and borrowed to get by and lived in absolute horrific conditions, but were generally just happy to get on with it and just make the best that they could. And again, we still get that influx of social deprivation, racism, classes against each other. But then it kind of molds into love and relationships, and then further on it goes into drugs, and it really, like I said, it shows a massive snapshot of what life was like during the early 80s and 90s in Britain for a lot of people. And then you're going to say, well, this has got fuck all to do with wrestling. How is this a fucking Hall of Fame, Hall of Lame? So You go to season 3, which is This Is England 90. So we're coming. It's the most recent series. I think there's some more series planned further down the line, but up to now, it's the most recent series. And in that series, the first episode, there's a scene where 4 of the characters, Trev, Kelly, Gadget, and Harvey, sat on the sofa in Harvey's apartment, and they're watching WWF wrestling. And in particular, they're watching a match between Mr. Perfect and Hulk Hogan.
Amazing.
And as the scene goes on, Kelly, she's clearly not a fan of the Graps, and she asks the 2 lads, "What the hell is this?" And she says, "This should be called Bummy Bummy Bumbox Telly." Gadge, whilst inhaling some wacky tobacco through a milk bottle, he says, "It's WrestleMania, Kel. It's a sport." Kelly instantly replies with, "No, it's gay." So Gadge then gets up in arms and he starts defending the honor of wrestling. He says, "These guys are athletes." Harvey, who was sat quietly before this, he chips in and says, "They're warriors. These guys are warriors." Kelly then says the words that would annoy wrestling fans the length and breadth of the country, even wrestling fans from every corner of the earth. She says, "They're not warriors. It's not even real." What a bitch. What a bitch. So Harvey, he's bit. He's took the bait, and he says that they are warriors and that they're trained. Their bodies are trained to fight each other. So then Kelly, being the antagonist that she is, she doubles down and says one of the most ridiculous mindsets that you get from non-wrestling fans. She accuses Gadget and Harvey that they only watch wrestling so they can pay attention to their, in her words, fat, cute, packed little pants. Again, this upsets Harvey, and he bats the argument away. And then Gadget, he again comes away from the milk bottle, stops smoking his marijuana, and he corrects Kelly, saying, "Why would we be looking at the pants? That's ridiculous." Kelly then mocks the effort that these wrestlers are making in the ring, and she starts commenting on a big sweat patch that is on Mr. Perfect's ring gear, and she says it starts from his goochal area, and he is sweating all the way up to, and again, her word, his bumba schnook pack. So Harvey and Gadget just beside themselves with anger, and they continue to defend these stars of the squared circle, and they say that these are working hard and they're sweating because they're trained athletes. Then Gadget goes as far to say that these are modern day gladiators, and then he continues by saying all that's missing here is a bunch of lions and a guy doing that. For the audio listeners, doing the thumbs of the Roman emperor. Kelly is clearly not convinced, and she accuses Gadget of being sexually aroused, saying he's getting a little titchy-tatchy tuna dicker. Gadget has had enough now. He ends the debate stone dead and tells her to fuck off before returning to his narcotics. Now, the reason why I put this forward as a Hall of Fame is, as I said, this is one of the most culturally significant programs to come out in Britain in a long, long time. And the fact that WWF is getting a mention shows how culturally significant wrestling was for a lot of British fans. Like I said, it's a snapshot of Britain at that time, and a lot of fans absolutely love the wrestling. The reason why it's a Hall of Fame is because the producers have made quite a severe boo-boo here. So the match that they were watching was Hulk Hogan versus Mr. Perfect. And then Gadget said at the beginning that this was WrestleMania.
No.
Now, 1990 WrestleMania, as we all know, was WrestleMania 6. Hulk Hogan didn't face Mr. Perfect. In fact, he's never faced Mr. Perfect on any WrestleMania. He was facing the Ultimate Warrior. And on the same night, Mr. Perfect actually suffered his first WWF loss to Sar's best friend in wrestling, Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake.
Fucking piece of shit.
The actual match, and I went and watched all of the singles matches between Hogan and Mr. Perfect from the WWF in 1990. The ones that were televised, that is. And there were 2. And this match is actually from the WWF on the MSG network that was recorded on the 15th of January 1990. And that was 3 months before WrestleMania even took place. So this week, This Is England goes into the Hall of Fame for showing wrestling as a culturally significant product. But This Is England also goes into the Hall of Fame for not doing their fucking proper research and showing a match that was not on WrestleMania at all. So, yeah, that's this week's entrant.
Fantastic. I was wondering where you were going, but it does work.
It does. I told you I'd claw it back through, and it works.
1990 as well. Did we end up with Hogan Perfect as the last 2 in the Rumble?
We could have. I can't remember that far back.
Mm.
We did.
I think we might have. Yeah. But that would have been a different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Signed. Great stuff, mate. Great stuff. I have not seen all of This Is England. I've seen the first series.
I hate you sometimes.
Thank you.
I genuinely fucking hate you sometimes.
Why?
I've
seen the first series.
Yeah.
I've seen the film.
Then you need to watch the other 2 series. They're on the Channel 4 version of our player. 4 on demand. So watch them.
Okay, I will check them out. Apologies to anyone listening who just heard an absolute racket from my cat. She got disturbed by my wife bringing me a cup of tea. So, noisy little fucker she is. But there we go. Speaking of the chat, Magsy. Well, no, I said cat, not chat, but it's close enough. Let's scan through the chat, shall we? And see what has been said before we dive into this week's non-wrestling topic.
Let's do it. So, we've got votes clearly for both guys, and they're definitely being tabulated, so don't worry about that. Graham says, if Morty's still in the chat, would you give me permission to clip the Matt Lewis impression and play it on? Please, Morty. Please give him the permission to clip that so Matt can hear his own ridiculous impression. That'd be amazing.
And get his reaction on the show.
Yeah. Glenn says, that's bollocks, talking about your topic. The British pan is a great tradition. Exactly. You know, it was not long ago that I heard that they were going to sell wine in pan bottles, as if the kind of the same topic. You can either get like a small bottle, which is like 350 ml, or you get a full wine bottle, which I think is 700 ml. So there was no. What's the difference between that extra 130 ml that you would get in a normal wine bottle? It's just stop pissing about with British measurements, Europe and Australians. Then we've got Connor saying he's not a big beer drinker, but he does drink a lot of pop or soda, which isn't healthy at all. But you've got to think you would have the same health argument for both, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, my argument for that woman is, if drinks were in smaller glasses, I'd just end up drinking more.
I wouldn't get away from the bar, mate.
Yeah,
I drink relatively quickly. If I had a half, it's just like, yeah, it's, you know. On that note, actually, Magsy, I've not vaped in. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to do that. I used to go to the bar with like some of the football lads, for example, and I'd have a shout of, I don't know, 8-9 drinks at a time, and somebody would have a Guinness. I used to order mine first, but I'd order 2, and then go through the rest of the round. So whilst the other drinks were being poured, I'd finish 1 pint and then have a pint to take back to the table.
Jesus, I meant take 2 glasses back to the table.
Oh, no, I couldn't carry all that. You
genuinely wanted a taster pant whilst you're waiting for everyone else's pants to fall. Brilliant. Jesus
On that
Christ.
note, though, I obviously last week I was talking about not vaping, or at least cutting back a great deal as well. I vaped on Tuesday night, and I don't think I've touched it since.
Brilliant.
Which I'm quite proud of. And I've also, I've also gone I think maybe 4 or 5 nights now without having a beer. 5 nights, I think, without having a
Look
beer.
at you.
So, I know.
You'll be
I know.
hench soon. You'll
Oof,
be lifting
ripped, mate.
weights. Yeah.
I
You'll
say
look
that.
like a midget Braun Strowman.
I've got cans in the fridge for tonight, but
Brilliant. Today I will break that record.
But this is like my Friday night, doing Monday night or Tuesday night editing, because I don't go out. So
I've stayed healthy all week. I'm gonna fucking get mortal Monday night and ruin everything I've done. Brilliant. Anyway, back to Connor. He says there's also a thing called self-control. Most people don't know their limits, and that causes issues. But the majority of people know how much they can take. I mean, I did used to hover between both. Sometimes I would say, yeah, I'm pissed now, I'm going home. Other times I'd drink through the pissed and end up being probably a bit more sober than I started.
Yeah, drinking yourself sober. I hate it when that happens because it's like, why have I spent all that money?
Yeah.
But I'm at a stage now where not so much now because I don't drink like I used to. But if I went uptown or whatever, I know my limits. I know what I can drink and so on. If I was with the football lads and they'd be like, have a shot of this, have a drink, or they'd be buying me all sorts, I'd have a couple and then I'd be like, right, I'm going home because I know I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You know? But that would then get people going, oh bloody hell, I was leaving early. So I'm not leaving early. I've had my skinful. I'm gonna get a kebab and go home.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be tucked up in bed whilst you were emptying your bank accounts to get to that level.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop says parts are too big. Meanwhile, in Germany, can I get a litre of beer? Exactly. But you won't go over to Germany and say, stop drinking litres, get 2/3 of a litre. Stop being greedy. Exactly. So fuck that woman. I even forgot her name. L. It's called L.
L, yeah.
Yes, that's where she's going.
Not bad.
Connor says the government putting the people up against one another sounds like what's going on in the States and in the UK. That's what happens. Governments do that. And then Sharon says, I'm not having that, Simon. Oh, you're in trouble now because you're being called Simon. Okay. Why haven't you had a drink?
Well. Actually, first of all, before I dive into this, Sharon, I did say to you I was going to be cutting right back for certain nights of the week I won't be having a drink anymore. So that is actually what's happened. But also, I have been on painkillers for my bad back. But that's not stopped me in the past. I've drank on painkillers before, so.
So you didn't answer the question. Why haven't you had a drink?
Well, yeah, because I was on painkillers, but at the same time, I just,
So you did an L argument where you proposed a theory and then contradicted yourself pretty much straight away.
How have I contradicted myself?
Because you said, "Oh, I'm on painkillers, so I'll stop drinking." Although I have drunk on painkillers before. So
yeah, I'm right. I have chosen not to have a drink. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I turn around to the wife, like especially the night when I was bad and I was in absolute agony and I couldn't move, and like she had to ring the doctors and all sorts. If I turned around and went, "Do you know what? I fancy a pint," she'd probably kick me out.
Then it would be medicinal, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
Whereas if you'd have said, "Can I have 2/3 of a pint?" she'd have gone, "Yeah, he's definitely poorly. There's something wrong with him there." Yeah.
Can you fetch that dusty old schooner glass from the back of the cupboard?
Anyway, that's the chat all caught up with.
Awesome stuff. Mags, shall we get into our non-wrestling topic for this week?
Yes, we shall.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Non-wrestling topic time.
Good God Almighty, there will be no wrestling talk here. Business is about to pick up on chain wrestling. Side Lord Mags, please cut it out.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Oh no, don't escape. You're supposed to be saying hi. Say hi. Say hello.
Meow.
Right, now you can escape. Cool.
Just for the audio listeners and context there, Sa come out of that segue stroking his pussy.
I did indeed. There we go. Our non-wrestling topic this week, Maxie, we missed a trick. We could have called it Dream Genie, couldn't we? Rather than, having loads of nonsense describing it.
What's Dream Genie mean?
Dream Genie, well, it's a song, isn't it? And they were linked and stuff. So I got a call back there.
Okay. I mean,
I'm not just crushing my hands around like a lunatic. There was a call back. Yes, our non-wrestling topic this week. Voguing, yeah. Our non-wrestling topic this week was CWF. You have a magic genie giving you 3 wishes, but you can't be sneaky and wish for more wishes or money or anything like that, or lottery numbers or any sneaky get-arounds. Matt Lewis, I have not actually read yours yet, but I guarantee you there's some sneaky, clever get-arounds, and he's like, oh, look at me. But we'll get to that.
I wish for more lamps.
More lamp. Oh, do you know what?
I wish for infinite genies.
Infinite genie. Yeah, that actually, yeah. I should have covered that in the tweet, shouldn't I? Never mind. We'll see when we get to WhatsApp at the very end. We begin with Connor Knows Soccer on Twitter, and his 3 wishes would be a boyfriend, Arsenal to win the Premier League. I'd rather Arsenal than City, to be fair.
Yep.
Yeah. And then City's 115 charges to stick and their relegation to the National League South, where in actual fact they were playing the North.
Yeah. But that we do get a counter for that one later on.
We do, indeed.
But they are good picks, I suppose. I mean, very self-centered. Not really thought about the wider community or the earth. Just think about yourself, Connor. Yeah. Cool.
To be fair, that's kind of what I was expecting with the responses.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I meant from everyone, because if everyone just came on the show and started saying, I wish for world peace, it was actually difficult. I wanted to put in the tweet, no little cop-out tweets like, I wish for world peace. But I didn't want to put that, because then I look an absolute bastard, don't I?
Because you definitely would not have picked world peace.
See, no, I don't know, because I've only got 2 at the moment. My third is a bit hazy. But we'll see. Jimmy Evans at Jimmy Evans for real, because I'm reading them out, obviously, Magsy, in the order they wrote into us. He says, soda for a year. So I'm guessing like a year's supply. Just, what, at the tap? That'd be great, wouldn't it?
No, but it's just the simple, it's just so good, is Jimmy. I mean, He hasn't been greedy. He hasn't said infinite soda. He's just enough soda to last me a year. I don't want everything, but just enough.
Yeah.
Send me 52 cans of Coke, and I'm good.
Yeah, there you
Amazing.
Go. Another replica belt.
Again,
so he doesn't want
all of the replica belts. He just wants one extra one. That's it.
One of my wishes is to have all the replica belts that I want in a display case. That is literally one of my wishes. But Jimmy's like, I just want one more. It's down to earth, isn't he? What a legend.
He's not abusing the gym. He's not abusing the genie. It's like, if you can be asked, you just go and get me to Tesco, get me 52 cans of Coke, go on eBay. I'll have a NWA Dome Gold title belt to hang on my wall. And can you get me a multi-pack of Walker's Crisps whilst you're there? That's all he wants. He has a simple laugh and he's happy with it. And I adore him. I genuinely adore him.
His last one does say, snacks for a year. Not even specifying whether he wants
whatever snacks you've got to hand.
What genie, whatever's fucking handy, mate. If you got if you got some Watsits knocking about in your lamp, I'll take them. Whatever you got going, pal.
Yeah, brilliant. And then we'll get to more where they're very specific, selfish and greedy, wanting things that will last them a lifetime. Jimmy's just gone, sort me out till 2025 and we're good.
Yeah, maybe we'll check in again then. I suppose the downside with being that vague is, what if, for argument's sake, the soda or the snack that the genie picked is something that Jimmy doesn't like. That would be the
He's,
negative.
he's willing to roll the dice on that, though.
He is. He's gambling away. Yeah, okay. Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter, he says, assuming we can have completely frivolous wishes. Yeah, it was exactly the point, Rob. I'm glad you picked up what we were putting down. He says, no speed cameras. You're
Okay.
bored with that, Mags?
I mean, they are a pain in the arse having to slow down for that few meters until
Outside
they're
schools, though.
No, make it faster.
Really?
Well,
I suppose you could wish instead.
Schools are no drive zones. Just make them all pedestrianised.
Or just wish for like no automobile accidents ever again. Because then you can all drive as fast as you like.
I mean, yeah, but he hasn't said that though, has he? He's just said no speed cameras.
So he's willing still to he's like in a way he's like Jimmy in that he's willing to gamble. He's gonna
he's taking the chance of more accidents.
Yes,
just so he doesn't ever have to slow down.
Yes,
but
indeed.
He hasn't said anything about traffic lights. He hasn't said anything about traffic jams, roadworks. So he's still going to have to slow down sometimes. Just doesn't want to get flashed in a ticket end up through his door and a £30 fine.
Number 2 from Rob. Beer in pubs to be sold around supermarket prices, like in the 90s. Okay.
I would be happy with that.
Yeah, same. This one I'm going to need some help with from either yourself or the people in the chat, the CWF there. Greg's to bring back the Devon iced slice. The lemon icing and lemon cream version. None of this plain icing cream version rubbish.
So I think they were like custard slices. So where you get like the puff pastry, like top and bottom, and then you get a big layer of custard in. But these were, instead of just being custard and white icing on the top, they're lemon flavored.
Okay.
Sounds delicious. I mean,
yeah.
Why not? Sounds like Rob has used his wishes very, very wisely, and also not just helped himself, he's helping the community as a whole. Not outside Britain, obviously, because these are all very British-centric wishes, but yeah, he's willing to help the wider community rather than just be selfish.
I'd be all about that lemon slice thing, mate. Totally. I love a custard. The custard one, that's banging. The way he's described that there, like the plain icing and plain cream, I love the cream and all that. But lemon, that's my fave. I'd be all about that. I don't think I've ever had one.
That'd be banging. So Greg's, get on it. Get on it at Greg's, and get Robbie's at least one of his wishes.
Should we start a campaign, or does that sound a bit too much like work?
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Just everybody in the chat at Greg's.
Rob also says, though, of course, if real wishes were available, I could have just had a time machine and go back to the 90s and get all 3 of these. Yeah, that's true.
You could, but then you'd miss out on all that 2000 onwards quality wrestling. So
yeah. And also the 90s come to an end, so at some point they'd all be discontinued again.
But he could travel back and back and back and back.
On that note, we come to Dan Griffin at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter, the other half of the Doctor Who pod, whose 7th season started today. Go and check it out on the SJP World Media feeds. He says, I wish I had a TARDIS. Wish number 2, I wish I knew how to operate the TARDIS.
Amazing.
And wish number 3, realise I could have combined my first 2 wishes by just wishing to be a real-life Time Lord, including accessories. So wish for all me and my loved ones to lead long, happy, healthy lives. There we go.
2 great wishes. Realised he was an idiot for wishing for very specific, separate things, and then copped out by saying he hopes everyone leads healthy lives. You could have just done that in the first wish. You could have said, I wish I had a TARDIS and I was a Time Lord and everybody was happy enough. And then you're going to have 2 wishes in the bank ready to use at your leisure.
idea of time travel, obviously, because of the stuff I'm into, fascinates me. I love it and all that. And being able to time travel would be incredible. But I also think to myself, when I look a little bit deeper into it, it's a lot of responsibility in it. Because if you fuck something up, you change everything. And then you got to go back and try and remember what you fucked up. And if you don't get that right, you mess it up again. And I don't just fucking everything, mate. The whole universe would be an absolute state because I just, stepped on a butterfly or some shit.
It's the butterfly effect, yeah. You would wreck something and history would be changed forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's best if we just don't do it, innit? Matt Butler, at Trey Butler on Twitter, he says, his first wish would be a cleaner. That's one thing in my life that I can get to fuck. As a chef and a lazy bastard, cleaning is a semi-occupational hazard. Genie, sort it out. Fair enough.
I mean, is that wish worthy? I mean, I get his problem. It would be brilliant to have someone coming in and clean up after you, and you not have to worry about the shit that you leave around. But he could easily just look in his local paper, and I bet he'd find one for like 15 quid an hour or something. So it's something that
My mum's a
he
cleaner.
didn't. Yeah, he didn't need a genie wish to sort that. Just
I suppose he means he
hire a
hasn't got to
cleaner.
pay for it, though. Yeah, but he ain't got to pay for it.
But
So
then he's-
free cleaner.
So then what he's essentially asking for is a slave. Which, no, that's not the dumb thing, Matt. No.
Let's we move on before one of us says something incredibly offensive. Matt continues. 721 vinyl. I own 280 out of the 1001 records from the book 1001 Records to Listen to Before You Die. But to own them all is a life's mission. Yeah, that'd be cool.
It would. And I do have a slight issue with it, though.
Okay.
Would the point of it not be the chase of finding the records and being excited that you found that record? If you magically rubbed the lamp and the genie and then the records turned up, yeah, you'd have the enjoyment of you owned them all, but you haven't had that pleasure of seeking them out and finding them. And I think that's half the battle, isn't it? That's half the fun of being a collector, that you find these rarities and you get the joy of not only listening to them, but you get the joy of finding them as well. But it is a cool thing to do.
Yeah, fair point. Final wish, Matt says. A handwritten apology sent to Khaldun al-Mubarak from every rag, bin dipper, and every other annoying twat when City are acquitted of their 115 charges. Apologies must include the following phrases: good for football, second favourite team, and best team in the land or the world.
So, Connor, when your wish doesn't come true about City getting charged and convicted of all 115 charges, you need to at Trey Butler with your apology, and you have to include those three phrases there that he wants.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if you don't do it, then we're going to be very, very disappointed in you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the worst thing, being disappointed.
That's the worst thing. We won't be angry. We'll just be disappointed. Chris Bellis, at Real Chris Bellis on Twitter, he says, well, more time in the day. Running a home and keeping two kids alive is seriously cutting into my editing.
A brilliant one, which benefits him and also, again, benefits the community, because everyone has to now deal with a new time. Their sleep patterns will be ruined. It won't be in the same rhythm. So you could be going to work at night, coming home, and it's still dark. So yeah, just ruin lives for everyone just so you can edit. Good on you, Chris.
A settled and happy at Scottish Juggalo, as I miss his upbeat personality. Yep, I'll go along with that. I
can't badmouth that one. That should be a given. That should be absolutely given. And Danny, we absolutely adore you and hope you're doing well, sir.
100%. And lastly, Cy and Mags to replace Booker and that other bloke whose name escapes me on NXT.
So that other bloke is Vic Joseph. I love this one.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if me and Sal were the commentary team for NXT. But who would be who? Who would be Booker, the colour, and who would be Vic, the play-by-play?
I don't know. I think I'd end up doing colour at the two. If I had a
What?
preference. No, sorry, play by
What?
play. I said,
Yeah,
I
I was
I'd
going
end
to
up,
say you're better
Yeah.
at the minute-to-minute analytics of a match, and
I think
I
so.
bring the comedy, I bring the fun.
Yeah.
Whereas you,
Yeah,
are
I've done
like,
a little bit of play by play before, and it's
you're
quite difficult.
you're
but-
the straight laced one, not funny at all, just gets down to facts and figures, and I'll bring the light when I bring the brevity.
I ain't wearing a tie.
A t-shirt and a tie. That's the
No,
compromise.
it's not happening. It's not
A
happening. Not
bow
wearing a tie.
tie. A bow tie.
No, unless it's WrestleMania when everyone should be in a tux. I'm not wearing a tie.
Okay.
There we go. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm all right on Twitter. He says Wolves to win the FA Cup. Yeah, I'll be all right with that.
I mean, I don't dislike Wolves. They're not a team I actively hate. So yeah, go on, Wolves. Win that FA
Go
Cup.
on, Wolves. Go on, Wolves. Are they still in it this year? Oh, they are started. Third round they come in, don't they? So yes, officially they are.
Yeah. Come on, Wolves.
Yeah, Gloucester went out, didn't they? Did you see that? Lost the replay.
To Gosport.
Yeah, we're shit.
Gosport Borough. Gosport Borough.
Oh, did I tell you about this weekend?
Yeah,
Gloucester City Legends played and I use this term incredibly loosely, a team of Manchester United legends at Meadow Park to raise some money. And the Manchester United legends were like Keith Gillespie and Neil Mesto and people like that. And even Lee Trundle, who's never played for Manchester United before. Or ever.
And what was the result?
Oh, City beat them 3-2.
Fuck off.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Jesus, like that's something that is going to go in the Gloucester City like trophy cabinet, isn't it?
Oh, they probably, if they could afford it, mate, they'd get a plaque made.
That's what they're raising the money for, not for any repairs, just for a plaque that this match that is happening now will be commemorated.
Exactly. Number 2 from I'm all right. I could say a town or city and would instantly be there. Hate traffic when driving and hate the general public, so public transport is horrific. I like the idea of being able to just jump from place to place, but just by saying the name of a city could be really inconvenient.
I mean, yeah, that's not the only problem with this one, but you are right. Maybe it could be like an Alexa thing. You've got to say something first for it to kick in. Like, I'd like to travel to blah, blah, blah. But I don't get why he's limiting himself to towns or cities, just any place, because you could travel the world if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, but other countries have towns and cities too, Mags. He doesn't stipulate UK towns or cities.
But there's lots of space between a town and the next town. There could be something that he wants to do in that area. So I don't get why you limit yourself to just the town or city. That's all I'm saying. It's a good plan in theory.
Yeah,
but just needs a bit of refining. That's all.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And number 3, dogs to have more power and influence over the world than humans. Everything would be so much better. So what are we talking? Like a Planet of the Apes style situation here?
Planet of the Dogs.
Yeah.
So are we having dogs that stand on 2 legs? Are we having 4 legs good, 2 legs bad kind of thing? Animal Farm? Or is it just dogs are who they are, but yeah, like the George Orwell cartoon.
Oh, I've not seen that.
What did you think I meant?
Isn't there a porno called Animal Farm?
That's your Gloucester coming out. I was not on about that at all. Jesus wept. No, George Orwell, the cartoon where animals take over a farm and then all of a sudden the pigs become like the Russian like Stasi and then basically the animal community started off all helping one another, and then eventually there's tier systems like classes, and pigs are better than the workhorses and the donkeys and the chickens and stuff like that.
Never heard of that.
No, it's literally taught in high school English.
Not in my school, mate.
Yeah, because they didn't teach reading in classical schools.
What did I do at high school English? I can't remember. I might have done it. I just can't remember. Who knows?
But are we talking about dogs as they are now influencing the world? Because that means we'd all be licking his own bollocks and sniffing each other's asses and taking shits where we want. Or are we talking dogs become the next evolution of humans? So we need more on this.
You need them to. It says more power and influence.
So we'd all be eating out of bowls.
Yeah, you wouldn't want more power and
chasing
influence
cars
for dogs how they are, would you? You'd want them to have a little bit more to them.
But would it not just be a simpler life and less harmful to the planet if we all did just walk around on all fours, bollocks hanging out, sniffing each other,
Shit on the floor,
shitting on the floor? Yeah, less CO2 gases, less ruining the earth, just more dog shit to slip in.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're living that way, you wouldn't care too much about stepping in it, would you?
Yeah, exactly. You'd probably eat it, knowing most dogs.
No, that wouldn't be for me, mate. But the food would be atrocious, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Pedigree chum, yeah.
Glenn Abbott at GA WrestleNet on Twitter, he says, first wish, the end to incurable cancer. I can 100% get behind that, my friend, 100%. Second wish, the end to all wars. And third wish, everybody in the world have somewhere decent to live. So what Glenn has done there is he's took what everyone else has said up to this point and basically gone, you selfish motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Glenn is the only one now, apart from maybe Jimmy, that has used his wishes for good. All the rest of you, with your no-speed cameras and Wolves winning the FA Cup, selfish totters. Glenn has thought of the world as a whole. He's none of these. I mean, they may benefit him, but they benefit the world in general. Whereas all you have just thought about yourselves, arseholes.
Yes, indeed. At Steve-O, at Elite FPL _Steve-O, he says, I don't have to write a book this week. Just give a Jimmy style reply. Jimmy's kind of a bit of a legend this week, isn't he? A legend on the show.
He's almost an influencer. I'd call him an influencer now. Yeah.
There you go. Steve-O says, to be allowed the time off and free travel to go to any gig I want for free. Okay, yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
And he's covered all the bases there. Time off, free travel.
Would you still have to put a form in though to request the time off? And would it be part of your yearly allocation, or do you specifically get free time off for gigs?
Yeah, okay. I mean, he says allowed the time off, so I'm assuming he's got an unlimited amount of time off. So I just would never go to work. Yeah.
Or is it paid though? Is it unpaid time? We need the specifics.
We do, mate. We do. Steve-O continues here. Living in a house in the middle of nowhere, Brock Lesnar style.
That would be good.
Loads of land.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. A house all on its own, miles away from anyone. As long as still get the mod cons of like super fast internet and Virgin Media and stuff like that, then yeah.
Toasty maker.
Leave me be. I mean, I can make toast under a grill.
No, that's not the same.
Oh.
That's not the same.
You're not picking infinite toasters.
You disgust me with your attitude sometimes. And lastly, from Steve-O, he says, this one is topical, he says, VAR and referee consistency.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I agree with that. I agree with that. That's a good one.
Yeah, this weekend especially, a lot of shit went down, Mags, didn't it?
Aye. And did you see Haaland twatting a ball against an Arsenal player's head? That was brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. I'm all about the shit housery though, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm all about that. Yeah, I like it when there's a bit of need, as Roy Keane calls it, a little bit of an edge to a game. I don't like it when they're robots and they can't, just show emotion, get involved.
And how quick has he got to 100 goals as well?
It's ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
It's scary, ridiculous.
And finally, from Twitter, unless I have missed any, we have MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. This one came in just after we went live, Maxie, in case you haven't got it in front of you. And he says, he says, it's hard to give an accurate answer without sounding like a Miss World contestant, but good health, time to travel, end corporate greed.
Yep.
It's a nice one to end on, Maxie, isn't it?
It is. Well, it didn't really the end, though, because Matt's probably going to ruin it with his ridiculous one from WhatsApp.
Okay, shall I dive into that now?
Let's do it. Well, that's the end of the Twitter one, so we may as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt says on WhatsApp, my 3 wishes. 1, everyone to appreciate CM Punk as the best in the world and the second coming of professional wrestling.
Has to be a dickhead. Has to be a dickhead. I will never appreciate CM Punk because he blocked me for no reason when I've never talked about him and he blocked me. So, no, Matt, you're not getting that wish. So, so far, you've had 1 wish and you're not getting it. So, next one.
But I'm assuming this is incredibly sarcastic, isn't it? Because he doesn't like Punk and so on. But
I don't care.
Don't we quite often try and say, and I know that it's said also by Matt on his shows, people are allowed to just like what they like.
Yeah.
I love CM Punk. Should I not be allowed to do that?
I mean, if Matt has his way, then yes, you will. And everybody will have to. But then, are you liking him because you like him, or you liking him because you are being made to like him?
By the wish, by the genie.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, paradox. Number 2, it's not even a paradox. I don't know why I said paradox. Number 2, Dan Griffin to appreciate Cody Rhodes for being brilliant. I can get on board with that. Okay. But again, you like what you like, yeah.
And you're also wasting a wish to force someone for something that would be funny 1 time. Maybe 2 at a push. But after that, it's a waste of a wish, isn't it?
I guess. I went really squeaky then, didn't I? Did you hear that? What was that about? I went, I guess. That was really high pitched.
Maybe you caught me.
Well, maybe I am. Number 3, Matt says, people do stop using derogatory language to describe people. I've been called some horrendous things in my life for who I am. And it's horrifying that anyone has to go through anything like that in 2024. Oh, and that goes for the word bin dipper to Butler. I don't use derogatory phrases for City fans, so that's part of this wishful thinking too. I did contemplate wishing for Mags to like bubbly chocolate, but that last one is genuinely important. See you all on Wednesday for the volley for Liverpool versus West Ham in the Carabao Cup right here on SJP World Media. Okay.
I like that wish. Again, though, a bit self-centered. Didn't wish that for everybody, I suppose, just looking out for himself. And Matt, to be fair, you chose to be a Liverpool fan, so you get the name calling that comes along with it. Now, I know he's not talking about being a Liverpool fan, and anyone who does use those kind of derogatory terms can absolutely fucking get in the bin. They're absolute animals. But yeah, a bit selfish, Matt. Come on, think about the wider community, the LGTB community, for instance.
I was so close.
I know. LGBT. That's it. I was right. LGBT.
Yeah, then Q plus, isn't it? That nice?
It's all encompassing for me.
Yeah.
Love everybody. Love is love.
There you go. Yeah, I don't think anyone being criticised for. Again, it should go without saying, but it is what it is. Color, race, religion, sexual orientation, whatever. That shouldn't happen. But a bit of banter with who people support. I mean, I'm a Manchester United fan. I grew up getting called a Glory fan my whole life. Obviously, that's stopped a little bit now, but
because there's no glory to be seen.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It is what it is, and I don't like the stuff with Hillsborough and Munich and the disasters and all that, of course, because that's a different level. But I think if you take away, it's knowing where the line is. I suppose if you take away certain jabs that are historical about certain clubs, it again, we're going back to people being robots again, and the emotion and rivalries being took out of the game. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of. I think if you remove everything, it does. I mean, I suppose that's what the Premier League wants, and the way it's heading all the time, though, isn't it? It's heading to tourists in the stands and millionaires on the pitch, and everyone's just dictated to by what TikTok and Instagram want, and that's where we're heading. But you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s. Mourinho arrived in this country, that Chelsea team that was fantastic for 2-3 seasons, winning everything in sight and so on. And he really upset people with what he said. I loved it, even as a United fan. Being a supporter of the club that was second best to him quite often, I still loved it because to me, that's what the sport is about. You're there to be entertained.
Yeah, and it was exciting.
Yes.
Watching week to week football was brilliant. Whereas now, a lot of the time, with how dominant certain teams have been, it can get a little bit tedious.
Oh man, Pep Guardiola. I don't want to get into a football rant because we've got the volley for that. But Pep Guardiola, in my opinion, has ruined football in a way because it's just so boring. And he did the same with Germany. He did the same with the trail end of his Barcelona time. Just keep possession, pass. You go back and watch like the old Premier League years on TV. When games were a bit more open, a bit more end-to-end, and people were allowed to tackle. It's not just Pep Guardiola. There's a lot of other things that come into it as well. People were allowed to tackle. People were allowed to get stuck in. Those games are so much more entertaining than what we get now, Max, weren't they? The technique now is insane. But I miss a bit of the, blood and thunder, roll your sleeves up, get stuck in, kind of.
The Terry Butcher. We need a bit more of the Terry Butcher.
And people thinking a centre-half is good because his pass percentage is really high and all that sort of bollocks. And young fans with YouTube channels thinking that just because they look at the pages that have got statistics that say such and such wins 10 headers out.
There is my biggest. Maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest bugbears that I have with modern football and modern football analysis. All the statistics, everything broke down to a percentage or a number or an XG. Oh, it's fucking annoying. I hate whoever invented working out an XG. I hope they got syphilis. I really hope they get syphilis because I fucking hate XG. Expected goals. So-and-so Burnley have got an expected goals of 0.35. Who the fuck cares? You can't score 0.35 goals in a game. So they're either going to get none or they're going to get one. They're not going to get zero. Oh, Weghorst, he only got 0.4 goals this season. Fuck off.
Yeah. I like the statistical side of things, whether it's the football or we were watching something else the other day and statistics came up on that. I can't remember what sport that was. Might be the American football. I'm not sure, the NFL. But I mean, there's a part for it, and I find it interesting. But to draw your whole opinion on the game you've watched from that is ridiculous. To me, I watch a football game and I can tell you why I think such and such is good, such and such is bad, why this is working, why that isn't working, whatever. And I'm quite comfortable in doing that. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's my opinion. To sit down and go, oh, well, such and such a guy is the best centre-half in the Premier League over the last 6 months because he's made more tackles or more interceptions, doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean he's the best centre because so much more goes into the game. And you get these lads, they tend to be, I'm not trying to stereotype, but it is the way it is. You tend to find they are younger fans who are grown up on the statistical side of things, running their mouths about, well, United are going to do this, this, and this because the statistics say this. It's a load of bollocks, man. Watch the game. Draw your own opinions. That's the whole point in what goes on. If statistics are the only thing you've got to base your footballing opinions on, then congratulations, you'll probably be good at Football Manager. If picking picking players based on performance from numbers alone is what you're good at, congratulations, you're going to be good at fantasy football, in theory. does not mean for a second you understand how the game actually works.
Yeah,
the game's played on
Graham.
grass. The game's played on grass, not paper. Do you know what I mean?
And Graham, I know that I don't want to hear this, and I understand what XG was. I was being over dramatic for comedic effect, but I just fucking hate the statistic. So I know you can have a decimal. Thanks, mathematician. Thank you.
Whatever happened to the 0.35 XGs or whatever? Whatever happened to just at halftime going, yeah, Man City had those really good chances here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a statistic of going, 1,000 times. If the game was played this many times, that's just bollocks. They've had some good chances.
You weren't going on a football rant.
I watched the game. I saw it with my eyes.
You literally said you were not going to go on a football rant, and then you spent 45 minutes ranting.
Well, I'll leave it. I'll leave it for now, Max. I'll leave it for now. That is it, I believe. Should we? Sorry. What about you, Max? What about you? Your 3 wishes, if you were to have them.
Well, infinite genies clearly got to be a number 1, so I can keep. A lot of them are going to be similar to the ones that we've had in the chat. Goodwill and love and health to all men. I wouldn't particularly wish everyone to be rich and famous or whatever, but just happy and healthy. And then I'd want no internet problems, because I fucking hate that. That can be shared to the community. Just no internet problems for anyone ever. So we always are online and we always have a good signal. And then after that, 10 million subs on YouTube for the SJP World Media channel, and me and Sa become the number 1 wrestling commentator / analysis / review channel in the world. So no, I don't want much. No, it's just a simple wish. We brush against the subject every now and again.
No, that's a good shout, man. Oh, that's a good shout. Kind of ties in with mine as well. I wish that I could just do this for a living. I wish that I was good enough and able enough and whatever to do this for a living. I wish the small things that I notice when I'm editing that I do that really boil my own piss, I didn't do. But it doesn't matter how hard I try, I can't not do them. It's really causing me an issue. But it's going to be interesting listening back to this episode to hear if I've done one of them, because I've actively tried. But I bet I have. I'm not going to say it. I'll just report back on Monday whether I have or not. So we can go from there. I wish I was in... I think I'm not wishing for mad amounts of riches or anything like that, but I'm wishing I was successful enough in life to be able to provide easily for my family and my loved ones, and then also be, I suppose, the chairman, potentially, of Gloucester City Football Club. I'm not saying
that is a waste of a wish. I can literally just PayPal you 20 quid and you can buy the club outright.
I'm not saying be mega rich and be able to fly up the leagues or whatever, nothing like that, but just be playing at National League standard, League 2 standard, something like that, and not have the club worry about money is the big thing, The obvious ones, of course, are illness and long terms and so on, and that obviously sprang to my mind straight away with stuff that's happened in my life recently. But I thought I'd leave that one alone and so on. But another one, and probably the last one, would be to just be really good at a musical instrument. In my mind, I instantly go to guitar, but I suppose potentially, maybe. But there we go. That is what I was thinking. So, shall we dive into the chat, Mags, and see what's been said there?
We shall. Sharon mocking us yet again with ruined.
I think it was you this week.
Yeah, I mean, she always mocked me. I went on my way and created that amazing video for her. You basically are going to eat her cake, so you bring nothing to the dance. In fact, you said, I'm actively podcasting on your birthday. So I was nice to her, and I get mocked. Not fair. Not fair, Sharon. Graham says, Doggled Trump, they're eating the dogs. Yeah, that's a weird story, isn't it? Blaming Haitians for eating like the pets of normal Americans. Yeah, he a racist. He's such a racist, isn't he?
Very strange man, isn't he?
Graham wants to know was the film that you talked about directed by George Cornwell?
You know it well,
George Cornwell.
You must know it well.
I think Graham may have a copy. He can lend you.
No, it's one night.
It skips at the good part. It then says first Stone Cold and also CM Punk. Wow, is that a dig at Matt by any chance?
Well, because Matt doesn't like Stone Cold either.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, I think I remember him talking because of Stone Cold and his battery charges and things like that against his first wife. So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, and it does come back to everyone. It's terrible when people do things like that. Of course it is. But people do make mistakes and also learn and change from them. It's not like he's got I'm not defending what he did in any way, shape or form. But to hold something over somebody's head that they did 20, 30 years ago, where they've not done it again, and they potentially learned and grown as a person, can be a little bit of a bad way of behaving as well, potentially.
I agree.
I'm just asking the question. Yeah.
Everybody can grow and everybody can change, unless you've done something just abhorrent. I mean,
unless you're a nonce, and then you can just
I mean, there's that or the Benoit.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Graham says, "Can he have a fourth wish?" And that Matt has to post on Twitter and not on WhatsApp going forward. We all wish that. We all wish that. And then he says, I'm surprised that Matt didn't wish for no more brain freezers.
Yeah, he does suffer with them, doesn't he?
He does. He does. And then he says, last wish, Matt calls people cunts frequently on Good Cop, Bad Cop. What a hypocrite. I know you love to use that word on the show, so fill your boots, Mag. So yeah, Matt saying that he doesn't want any derogatory terms, and yet he happily calls people cunts on this show. Matt, Graham said it perfectly. You are a fucking cunting hypocrite.
Psych.
Anyway, Sharon corrects us all, me mainly, by saying LGBTQIA.
No, I was wrong as well.
So what's the INA for? Because I think I know the others, but I'm sure Sharon will let us know in the chat. This one I don't care for, so I'm not reading it out. Good Cop, Bad Cop, Graham says he woke up as a surprise as he loves statistics. Well, yeah, being a maths teacher, you kind of have to, don't you, Graham?
I love statistics. I do. I really enjoy it when it comes up like loads of information. I love all that. Just don't base your whole footballing opinion on that. Watch the game.
I have one favourite statistic that 56% of all statistics are made up.
Oh, there you go.
Graham then says, rules said no more asking for more wishes, so wish one declined. Yeah, also, you literally 5 or 6 comments before wished for a fourth wish. There, we'll go over it again. Can I have a fourth wish? Matt has to post in Twitter. So, wish denied, Graham. You've ruined it for everyone now. So, he's going to keep posting on WhatsApp because you have to be pernickety about the rules. People who clock you on Twitter, Mags, or blocked me, he means. Yeah. I mean, I don't wish him ill will. And there's probably been many reasons why people have blocked me on Twitter. I am a bit of a dickhead. But CM Punk had no reason to, because I'd never been a dickhead to him. So, fuck CM Punk. 1 hour, 51 minutes, and we get a mention of word notes. That is a record. Well done, us, Pat.
No.
For us.
Didn't we mention something along those lines early on? We said nonce when it came to Al Fayed as well.
I mean, I didn't call him a nonce. You may have said that.
I think I asked the question.
Is that the same as calling him out and out?
That's how it works, is it? That's how the English language works now. Okay, we'll go with that.
I'm just saying you can ask a question, but it doesn't mean you're bringing the subject up. So we'll say we've done 151 minutes, an hour 51, and not mentioned it. Sir, permission to clip Mags calling Matt a cunting hypocrite.
Go on, pal.
Sharon says the I and the A stand for intersex and asexual. And She ruins the end of the chat by going ruined. You just for someone who's of the age you are, Sharon, you're very childish, aren't you? We're trying to be professional on this podcast.
You think at the age of 53?
Yeah, grow up, Sharon. Your birthday, literally, this is the day that you grow up.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
One more year.
54. So, Muggsy, should we talk a bit of wrestling?
Shall we not hang off 4 or so minutes just so we get to 2 hours before the wrestling starts?
No, because I've got nothing else to say.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okay. So then, before we actually dive into talking wrestling, you can see the comment at the bottom of the screen. If you have not already put forward your vote, I guess, for the quarterfinal in the CWF tournament, best AW current wrestlers or best wrestlers AW have currently on their roster, make sure you're getting it in there now. MJF or Adam Cole. Make sure you let us know, because then by the end, we'll have our winner. So next week, we go into the next quarterfinal.
Your vote may tip the balance. It is close.
Is it really? Interesting. Muggsy, SummerSlam 1989. Feel the heat.
Hooray!
Yes, hooray. This pay-per-view, as I've said numerous times on the show, has got a real special place in my heart, mate, because it's the first VHS tape I actually owned. Sharon, stop commenting over and over and over again in the chat, because they only get counted once.
Multiple votes will not be counted. What you're doing now, Sharon, is breaking YouTube terms and conditions by spamming the chat.
You're so naughty. Look at you getting rebellious in your old age at 59 or whatever you are. She actually does say in the chat as well, you're both older than me, you pair of bastards. She's right.
And yet we're so youthful looking. You would never think
we are. You won't believe how soft my beard is, mate. I don't know if that's youthful. Is that youthful? I don't know. Does your beard get softer when you're younger? Oh. Anyway, SummerSlam 89. I was gifted 2 VHS tapes for Christmas when I was very, very little. One of them was a Doctor Who video. One of them was SummerSlam 89. Had no idea what the fuck it was. Put it on the shelf, ignored it. Caught some wrestling at my uncle's house on television. Recognised it from the front cover of the videotape. Went home, watched it. Fell in love with pro wrestling. And that is the story of that. So this pay-per-view has got a real special soft place in my heart. I watched it over and over and over again. I've still got the tape somewhere. I think it's up there. Probably won't play now because it's been played so much. And the opener for this pay-per-view, first of all, we have Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura on commentary. Okay. We have a fantastic video package, Max, don't we, with the old 80s SummerSlam theme, which is glorious, with people doing summery things, sliced in with people doing wrestling things, don't we?
It's quality.
Yeah. And a very young Shane and Stephanie McMahon jumping in a swimming pool, which is always funny. Yeah. And then the pay-per-view begins, and we have the glorious Hart Foundation theme music, which Brett used as a solo wrestler for the first part of his solo run. I think I probably prefer this to the theme he had in his later career, Mags, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because it's
you don't like the screeching guitar opening.
Oh no, I love that. I think they're both brilliant. I love them both. But I don't know if it's because I grew up with this one and it's maybe a little bit rougher, a little bit heavier, a little bit more choppy. I don't know. But I mean, I love them both.
I like both,
yeah. No theme tune for the Brainbusters, though.
No. So in doing the research for this match, I found out. I mean, rude. I always kind of like look for and kind of stuff outside of the wrestling, things that were going on at the time. And in their tenure as world champions, a lot of the time they weren't even mentioned as being world champions in WWF. No. So they had no theme song. They weren't mentioned. They were literally champion jobbers or Trek-like champion jobbers, which think is really weird. But you have kind of glossed over something that I did want to touch upon. So we have Jesse Ventura and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Tony there looking very spiffing in his tuxedo, and Jesse, his first words to Tony is to tear him a new arsehole because he blames Tony for getting Bobby Heenan taken off the air, which is obviously that's obviously Ventura being the heel commentator, but it actually plays into what ended up being real life hatred between Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone. I mean, when Bobby died, they hadn't spoken for years, and Bobby genuinely disliked Tony Schiavone. So it's just interesting that was brought up, and then years down the line, that would fester into a hate relationship.
Yeah, the time in WCW, you can see it towards the end, especially. There's definitely sort of a prickly relationship. I mean, Heenan was drinking on the job as well, which didn't help.
Yeah,
there was a lot of issues between them, wasn't there? But there you go. You mentioned there about the Brainbusters, Arn and Tully. I never think of them as being a WWF tag team, even though this is the very first time I would have seen them. They were WWF tag team champions. I always think of them, of course, as being Crockett Promotions, NWA, WCW, and so on.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was just saying I absolutely agree with you. I mean, they're WWF champions, but these are not WWF wrestlers.
Yes. Yeah. That's sorry, my headphones, my internet went a bit funny when you spoke then, sorry. Yeah, you're right. And it shows. And there's an interview with, I believe it's Tully Blanchard, I found on YouTube a while back, where he says that he doesn't feel they were hired to be a prominent tag team in the WWF tag team division. He feels they were hired so they were no longer working for Crockett.
Like a spy.
So to take him away. Because if you look at the tag team scene in 89, and they've been there a little while by this point. They actually joined the WWF in 88, and here we are in August of 89. You look at the tag team scene in the WWF at that point. You had, obviously, the Hart Foundation. You had the Bulldogs had parted ways a few years earlier, but they were, a prominent tag team in that time. Fabulous Rougeau brothers were there with their gold and blue and their fantastic theme tune. The Rockers were there. You had the Barbarian and Haku tagging together. You had the Twin Towers. You had always, again, 89... Demolition, of course, Max. Yes, definitely. You had all these really larger-than-life, colourful characters, which was the WWF way, of course. And then you had Arn and Tully. No ring entrance.
No charisma.
What? No charisma. How can you say Arn Anderson has got no charisma? Is this the way this is going to go again for the third week in a row?
I mean, you look at the Hart Foundation. They ooze charisma. Even Anvil, who is mediocre as a wrestler, he's good for the spots that he's in, but he's got charisma. When he's talking, you focus on him. I just, as a wrestling fan, especially a WWF wrestling fan, I don't get that from Arn. He's he's much more soft spoken. He's not it's like I said, he's just not a WWF wrestler. He's not big and bold and brash and larger than life. He's a solid wrestler, absolutely superb in the ring. Just, I don't think he has the character for WWF. It was definitely more suited for that WCW NWA style.
Oh yeah.
And with Tully, he's like milk, innit? Just vacuous. He's vacuous.
I think you said something there that's really interesting as well about how he's the size and so on, and he's not the biggest of guys. Arn Anderson was actually about 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", and he's 250 odd pounds. But in WCW or in Jim Crockett Promotions, he stood next to Flair, who's 6'1", 6'2". He's coming up against jobbers on television tapings that are obviously smaller guys. In the WWF, and that's Arn Anderson is a big man. He's taller than me, and he's 250 odd pounds, and he's put together. You put him in the ring with a Bret Hart, who again is not a massive man. Bret looks more put together and more tanned and what. The Neidhart dwarfs him. And then you look down the rest of the card, and the likes of the Warrior, I think Demolition on the card, Hogan, the Boss Man, and Akeem are on this card. Arn does look like a small guy, doesn't he? Which is crazy to think.
It looks like a little barrel, a little tank.
Little barrel. I didn't get why they were jogging.
Just to keep the blood pressure up, keep the
It
heart
looked a bit
rate
weird.
going. Maybe they were just told, get out there now. And that.
Yeah, you're running out of time.
They did the old man jog.
The match is non-title because the Brainbusters versus Hart Foundation was made prior to the Brainbusters winning the tag titles from Demolition.
Which kind of, I mean,
it makes sense.
If you think of it logically, that makes sense. But then Tony straight away goes against Jesse and says, but they could have easily just put the titles on the line. And yeah, they could have. It should have been a fucking title match. The champions are going up against some challengers on a pay-per-view. It's a title match, surely, but it isn't. And I suppose we can understand why with the finish. I suppose it didn't really matter. And I think was Brett being promised a push at this time, so perhaps it wouldn't have been right to put the titles on the Hart Foundation. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why it wasn't a title match. But WWF booking.
You are right. Brett's been promised a solo run, which he does get a sort of little stop-start effort before they reunite the Hart Foundation. But well, not reunite because it almost felt like they weren't ever really apart. But he did have a few more singles matches and so on. But the booking does confuse me because it's obviously no real spoiler alert. People I imagine who listen to the podcast would have watched the match or at least looked it up and so on. The Brainbusters win. So by having it as a title match wouldn't have hurt at all. So why don't you just have something on Wrestling Challenge or Superstars or Primetime or whatever was the TV show at the time? A week or two beforehand, couple of weeks build up. Bret Hart versus Tully 1-on-1. If Bret Hart beats him, then it's a title match at SummerSlam. And have a load of shenanigans with run-ins at the end and whatever. It builds up a little bit more excitement, and then they can lose the match anyway. But again, it's only in hindsight, isn't it? So
it is.
Yeah, there we go. The match begins with Bret Hart and Tully Blanchard, and we get some fantastic stuff from Bret, don't we? I think Bret's the standout in this match. He is. As the aggressor, anyway, as the offensive wrestler out of the four.
Yeah.
Bret's the standout. He so smooth, the arm drags and the takedowns. You can see why that he's been looked at as a potential singles guy already here, can't you?
Yeah, and this is relatively early in his WWF career as well, and he's head and shoulders above everybody that he's in the ring with, who are all a lot older than him, and he's still technically the better wrestler. He's the better ring general. He's he's doing things like focusing on Tully's arm to single out that limb. It's just classic, well done, just simple but effective wrestling. And Bret is showing here why he was going to be one of the best wrestlers to have ever done it.
This really does stand out as an advert for what he becomes, I think. Arn Anderson tags in and straight away gets took down with a drop toe hold, a headlock, and then gets countered into a hammerlock, which again is so smooth. You know,
this part made me laugh because of how much of a hard-on Tony Schiavone had for Arn Anderson. Now, obviously, they've worked together for decades.
Back in Crockett days and all that.
Yeah, but when Arn went for the headlock, Tony basically thought it was the best move that there ever was. Oh my! He literally had a Vince McMahon "what a maneuver" moment. Yeah. And then when the headlock kind of slipped off, and then Bret took charge. That amazing work by Bret to get out of that move. Hey, it was a headlock. Calm down, Tony. We know you're friends, but Jesus Christ, it was a fucking rest. It was a rest hold. Chill. Turn it down a little bit, lad.
He's trying very hard to get Arn Anderson over there, wasn't with that headlock.
And also get himself over to hopefully get a WrestleMania gig, which didn't happen.
It did not. But I mean, again, we get more from Brett with Arn. It's just absolute class. It's well worth checking out. Jim Neidhart tags in, and it's then more about his power, of course, because he's the big, strong brute of the group. I really liked the spots where he's beating up Arn Anderson, and Arn goes for a tag, but it's kind of his one arm is being held onto by Jim Neidhart, and he's reaching with the other arm for the tag, and he goes round in a semicircle, can't quite reach, and then Arn just pulls him to the floor, and you just see Arn Anderson's face of just desperation trying to make the tag. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they really did make a thing of Anvil being the powerhouse. There's a spot later on in the match where Tully Blanchard, I think, is chopping him, and he's just walking through the chops and huffing and puffing. They just made Anvil look like an absolute beast. But you mentioned tagging there, and that was another thing that the inconsistency with wrestling. So how often have you seen in the wrestling matches what's called blind tags, where someone is running the ropes and they get slapped on the back by their partner? Their opponents didn't see it, but that person's now the legal man and usually helps them get one up on the team. There's a spot in this which I thought was actually brilliant, like really well done, where Tully reaches out his leg and Arn tags his leg. Now that to me, it's as much as a tag as tapping someone on the shoulder or on the back, but the ref doesn't allow it, and it's fucking aggravating. Why not? Why is that not counting?
Then that's what happened, though, isn't it? They were really, really anal about people using the tag rope. There's another occasion where Tully stands on the bottom rope to lean over and get further reach. And he's told, no, you can't do that. But I think that happens in the main event as well. I'll have to go back and watch it. But I think that happens with Hogan in the main event as well. He steps on the bottom rope to reach over and the referee tells him to get down. I'm fairly certain even when the Road Warriors arrive, there's an issue or something like that.
But the irony of it is, it's the story and the pantomime of the match. When the referee's admonishing the Brainbusters for it not being a legal tag, Anvil and Brett don't tag at all. They just make the clapping sound themselves, and that tag counts, even though the ref hasn't seen it. I mean, it's the script of wrestling, but I just didn't get the inconsistency of he made a tag. Yes, it was his foot, but his foot counts surely as much as his shoulder, and surely as much of as his back. So I just didn't get why it was not allowed to be a tag. It was ridiculous.
Okay. We're 10 minutes in. So over the halfway point of this match, and it's been all Hart Foundation. Mm-hmm. The Brainbusters have got absolutely nothing into this point. Now, I think back to a conversation we had on a previous episode, maybe in last week, Max, about how structuring the card and knowing what this guy's going to do in this match and knowing your role in the whole event rather than your own individual match can really benefit the flow of a show and the pay-per-view, the main event, and so on. Here, these guys in the opener, I think, really know their role, know exactly what's expected of them. And the fact that the good guys are in control for so long really gets the crowd involved before the heels then take over for a few minutes and they're on the offense then, aren't they?
And you say good guys, but there is a moment in the match where they maybe not so much the good guys when, like I said, they do the dodgy tagging, which is a heel thing. But there's one time where Brett kicks, I think it's Arn in the back when he's running the ropes. Yeah, that's douchebag tactics. But again, it's Brett showing that he can play both sides of the heel face dynamic, and something that he'd be so good at all the way through his career.
I imagine as well then, thinking about it, I'd have to look at the timeline, but the Hart Foundation were quite prominent heels in that tag division for a long time. This can't be too long after their turn, I'm assuming.
They were heels when they were Brett was wearing the kind of aviator sunglasses rather than the plastic wraparound ones.
Yeah.
So he's only just started wearing those wraparounds. He hadn't even got the branded ones yet. So yeah, I
No,
don't
they're
think
silver here, aren't they?
yeah. So I don't think they've been faces that long. So maybe there's still a little bit of that heel tendencies left in the locker.
Yeah, fair enough. Couple of moves or spots involving Neidhart that I quite enjoyed. I've never had a problem with Jim Neidhart, but I've never been the biggest fan. He always seems to be attached to somebody who was a bit better than him. So he played his role, but was never the star of what we were looking at. But here we get a couple of great moments from him. Tully tries a crossbody off the middle rope. Neidhart catches him and turns into a bear hug, which only lasts a couple of seconds, thankfully. But that was absolute class. I really enjoyed that. And the slingshot as well, where Brett fires, I think it's Arn into the ropes, whilst Neidhart is stood on the apron, and Brett slingshots his opponent, his partner, who's a big dude, over the top rope and into a flying shoulder block. And this is 1989. You'd see something like that on modern day television now.
Yeah, it's a move that he did a lot when he was tagging with Owen as well.
Okay.
They did the kind of slingshot and shoulder tackle. So, but it is impressive when you see someone. I mean, I called Arn a barrel, but Anvil genuinely does look like a human barrel. He's a hefty chap. So for him to still have that agility to be able to spring over the ropes and land a shoulder tackle, that is still very, very impressive. And it's a good tag team maneuver, and it kept the offense definitely on their side.
It did. For a little while, the Brainbusters are in control and they are beating on Neidhart. This allows Neidhart to again show his incredible amount of power, because Arn goes to cover him, and on 2 he powers out of it and literally obviously Arn is helping a great deal, but he throws Anderson up into the air to kick out from the 2 count, which I thought was quite cool.
And Anderson was shocked at that. He was. I've said he's not exactly got huge amounts of WWF style charisma, but there he sold that show of power really well with his facial expressions.
I think Arn. Brett's obviously the standout in this match. Brett is fantastic because everything he does offensively is wonderful. But I think Arn is the standout on the other side of the coin, not just being from the other team, but from a defensive standpoint, because I think he works very, very hard to make everything the Hart Foundation do look excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I give props to everyone in this match, not called Bret Hart, because everything they did was clearly to make Bret the star of this match. There was obviously plans for Bret to be the big star going forward, and all 3 of these guys did really well to make Bret look like that star. I mean, obviously Bret doesn't. He is the star anyway. Wrestling, he's far and away better than all these 3 guys technically, but he still does need those dance partners to work with. And I think the Brainbusters and Anvil really do a good job of elevating him in this match. We
get an odd collision in the middle of the ring, and both guys Arn and Neidhart drop down, but I liked that.
Yeah, and there's actually another one as well where they're doing the classic let's throw it, let's Irish whip our opponents into each other, and then you either get their clash or it's reversed and the other 2 people clash. But on this one, you get only one of them gets reversed, and then you get I think it's Bret and Tully doing the double close. I thought that was a really good, just a little crease in the classic double Irish whip, but I thought that came off really well. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was very clever.
We do then get eventually a couple of tags, which lead to Bret Hart coming in as the fresh guy, I suppose. And he goes through a few of the moves that will become big, important parts of his routine as a singles wrestler going forward. We see the middle rope elbow, we see the snap suplex, and so on.
I'll just jump in here.
Okay.
Everybody knows the middle rope elbow. It's generally called Bret's rope for that reason. Tony Schiavone. Oh, Bret comes down, hits the elbow. Tony says, forearm from Bret. And Tony, I hate your face. I just hate your face, Tony Schiavone. It was clearly an elbow. It's always been an elbow. It's the elbow. It was not a forearm. You fucking clown shoes.
It was more of an elbow than what it normally is, because when Brett hits the move,
straight down,
he goes out straight. When he misses the move, it looks more like a traditional, what you might say, Dusty Rhodes elbow drop. So, oh dear me. We now, I suppose, come to the finish, Magsy, don't we? After a bit more brawling and so on, there's a bit of a chaos going on, a bit of confusion. Arn bumps into the post on the outside, so he looks like he's kind of took out of commission for a moment. Jim Neidhart slams Brett onto Tully, which I think is quite a cool little move.
And at the beginning, you think that this is going to be a botch in what was meant to happen, because you see Brett climb up the rope and look like he's going to jump maybe onto Arn, and then Anvil just saunters over, grabs him off the rope, and it looks like, is Anvil turning heel? Is this split? But no, he just does a reverse body slam, and it's a brilliant move. It's great. It looks really good. I was very
Tully
impressed.
looks done, doesn't he? Tully looks done at this point. But Bobby Heenan is on the apron, distracting the referee. So Neidhart goes over to help, which never actually helps. And whilst this is going on, Arn climbs onto the middle rope, comes off the middle rope with a forearm. And it's quite a nasty looking forearm as well.
No, again, I'm going to jump in. This particular spot reminded me of when, imagine a game of football and a cross comes in, but it's not high enough for you to do a header.
Okay, yeah.
But you don't know whether it's low enough for you to do a volley. So
awkward between your shoulder and knee kind of height.
Yes. Where you're in two minds of what you want to do. So this looked ideal for an elbow drop akin to Bret Hart, or maybe a leg drop, a stomp, something like that. Arn decides it's high enough for him to do the double axe handle. But in order to make contact with that, he almost has to sit down to land the double axe handle. So if you think of the move what Brian Christopher used to do, the top rope leg drop, the hip hop drop, or whatever it was called, and then put in the maneuver of doing a double axe handle, so bringing it down, that's kind of what he did. He kind of was in between two moves. It was different. It looked fucking awkward, but it did what it needed to do.
Yeah. Brett's out of it. Tully is the legal man, but Arn rolls him out the ring, covers Bret Hart, and then covers his own head, so the referee can't see who's. Yeah, it's so clever because they're wearing the same trunks, and the way Arn lies down with his face in the mat, covering his head so you can't see his hair, you couldn't tell if it was Arn or Tully realistically at a quick glance.
Yeah, and Arn, Tully does the right thing. He rolls out the ring. Arn essentially puts his face in Bret's armpit, uses Bret's own arm, lifts the arm up to cover his bowl patch, because we all know he was the oldest 35-year-old in the business. It was brilliantly done. Absolutely so brilliantly done. Yeah.
So good.
And the Brainbusters pick up the sneaky victory.
I think that was just a great finish. And, we'll come to it when I give my final scores and summing up and so on, Magsy. Out of 10, what you're thinking? And again, I suppose your final thoughts overall.
Okay, so I for the show come across as hating ye olde school wrestling, and especially anything involving WCW wrestlers. But I need to cough.
First one of the night, though, and we're 2 hours 25 minutes in. That's not a bad going, mate. That's not a bad going.
It's because much like last week, I'm going to praise something that I tend to hate. But this match was not flashy. You saw hints of the brilliance that would come from Bret Hart, but everybody in this match played their part really, really well. It were two styles of wrestling that blended together perfectly. Great wrestling, very clever wrestling at times, some unique moves. And anytime there was a big issue, it was kind of covered up. I didn't like the tagging thing, but that's probably just a me thing. But as an opener for a pay-per-view, it was very good. It was serviceable. So I think I'm good. I'm going to go 7.5.
Okay, interesting. You can see right next to Scooby-Doo there on my notebook. It says 7.5.
There we go.
There you go. Look at that. I bloody loved it because it reminds me of being a kid and putting that VHS tape in the machine for the first time. I think Brett is amazing. I love the Brainbusters anyway. I love. As I've got older, I've learned that I don't love Tony Schiavone because he's brilliant. I've learned that I love Schiavone and Ventura because of this videotape. Because it reminds me of being like, what would I have been, 9, 10 years, whatever it may well be. I like the nonsense with the tags because to me it harks back to having rules for the heels to break.
Okay.
And having those situations there. And again, if the audience are seeing it in this opening match, it sets the tone for the rest of the evening. Now, there's a 6-man match later on in the show where it all breaks down and all 6 men are in and out of the ring and so on. And the commentators are shouting about who's the legal man, what's going on. It makes more sense when you watch the show in its entirety because of what happened in the opener. And again, I like to think that kind of thing is intentional because it makes sense again with how you're building a card. But yeah, I agree with you, Maxie. 7.5 out of 10. Really good, solid, proper tag wrestling. None of this all 4 guys constantly involved doing backflips bullshit. Tag team wrestling.
And the finish, spot on. Really
the finish is glorious. It's just so good. So good. We see Benny Mack in the chat there saying, "Sup, gents? Good evening, Benny. Hope you are well, my friend."
Benny, whilst you're here, make sure you vote in the CDWF tournament. It's up to you guys who goes through to the next round, Adam Cole or NJF. And thank you for showing up, sir.
Yeah, which of those two do you think is the best wrestler AEW has? So there we go. Maxie, next week, if your selection for the poll wins, where would you like to link?
Because you've won like 3 in a row, something like that.
I haven't won 3 in a row.
You've got your way for at least 3 in a row. I lost
last week.
Yeah, but
I lost literally last week.
Yes, last week was you winning no matter what.
Well, let's see what you've got for us, mate.
So my link is SummerSlam. My link is also SummerSlam opening matches. I want to jump forward a few years to a match I'm surprised we haven't covered because I have very, very fond memories of this match. I want to go to SummerSlam 1992, the Legion of Doom taking on Money Inc. In the opening match.
Oh, why? That's another one, another of the VHS tapes I had. Well, I didn't have, no, that was one that I used to rent from the video shop. It was one of those that, why?
Got one of the most iconic moments in the history of wrestling with those two riding motorbikes down in the middle of
the long aisle and the gold shoulder pads and I
love it. I love it.
What a shout. What a shout. And there's some talent in there as well, man. Obviously the Road Warriors, we know how good they are. But you look on the other side of the ring.
And DiBiase and Shasta, yeah.
I don't think they get the credit they deserve. Yeah. Oh, that is a great shout, Magsy. That is a great shout. I'm using a couple of different links to get to where I want to go. So you can take your pick which way you want to go. I'm going to use Bret Hart as the link, but if you want to, you can go to Randy Savage, who's in the main event of this pay-per-view, and use him as a link as well. But I want to put forward a match that I know I have never seen before, and I'm willing to wager quite a few people in the CWF might not have either. This is something that popped up online a little while ago that may well have been out there for years, decades, whatever, I don't know. But I'd never seen it. So I managed, I saved the link and so on, so it's available if this selection wins in the poll for us to look at. I like looking at matches like this, where it's almost a dream match that has happened elsewhere, but not when it would have been a dream for fans of a certain era.
Okay.
Now, Bret Hart won his second world title in the May or April, of 1994. WrestleMania 10, whenever that was. March 30th, 1994, WrestleMania 10. He won his second world title. Number one babyface in the company, which by proxy in 94 probably made him the number one babyface in the world. Hogan wasn't quite back in WCW yet. It was the summertime he came back, so he probably was the number one babyface in the world at this point, especially in the American soil anyway. Randy Savage at this point was being used as a commentator, but wanted to wrestle more. It didn't work out that way. He got pissed off, downed tools, pissed off to WCW. Before he did that, he had house show matches against Shawn Michaels, and here he had a WWF World Title opportunity in 1994 against Bret the Hitman Hart in Yokohama, Japan on May the 7th, 1994. Now, this footage is filmed from the crowd from a handheld camera, but it's not shite footage. It's watchable, and the audio is pretty decent. There's no commentary because, again, it's handheld footage from a house show, but you've got Bret Hart versus Randy Savage in the main event, as they announce it, of this house show in Japan at the start or very early on of Bret Hart's 1994 World Title run. I'm massively intrigued. So that's what I would like to put forward as the offer. And again, like I said, the link is there. It's easily accessible and found elsewhere, but I will share the link anyway, so it's easy for people to find if that wins the poll this week, Mags.
Yeah, it's very likely that I've never seen that match, so that potentially could be brand new to a lot of us.
You may get some. I've not watched it through purposely. I've watched the beginning. I've scanned through to a couple of moments, and I've watched the end to make sure it has got a finish and everything, and it is fine. But I don't know if at some point the guy drops the camera down and looks at the floor for 10 seconds and we miss something. I don't know. But what I've seen, it's as good a footage as we're going to find for this particular match. So yeah, Bret Hart, Randy Savage from 94. Obviously, it happened in WCW like 5 years later or whatever, but this was obviously when Bret was starting his peak, I suppose. Yeah, there we go. So those are the options for this week's poll. We have the opener from SummerSlam 92, one of the most popular and dominating tag teams of all time, in the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, taking on Money Incorporated at Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 people, gold spikes and motorbikes galore. All we have, Bret Hart versus Randy Savage for the WWF World Title in Japan, Yokohama, May the 7th, 1994, house show, handheld footage, etc., etc., etc. The poll will be up shortly after the audio version is released. Make sure you're voting, retweeting, and all that good stuff. Magsy, do you want to go through the chat now?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of the chat during the match, especially with Sharon trying to get some election interference there going. Benny arriving late and throwing his thoughts into the conversation. So I think we should go to the winner, the results of the first ever CWF tournament match. And as I said, it was very, very close. 1 or 2 votes either way could have swung it. But the winner and going through to the semi-finals will be Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So you guys have voted MJF as the first semi-finalist.
I'd have been quite happy either way, to be honest, even though MJF was the one I put forward. Adam Cole I'm a massive fan of as well. But yeah, good stuff. So we'll see who he comes up against, I suppose, next week, because the quarterfinals, the next in the bracket, I suppose, Magsy, is it?
Well, we will see. We may have to devise a bracket to see who faces who.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to touch upon before we get the fuck out of here?
No, I think we've had a bumper show today. We were both probably a little bit nervous about introducing a new segment, but I think it's gone down pretty well. I want to thank you guys in the chat for, first of all, getting involved, for your brilliant answers in the wrestling topic, and just for being bloody good people. Happy birthday, Sharon. Follow me down here, Podfarmer Mags, and also Podfarmer Mags, wherever TikTok, Twitter, wherever, X. Follow that knobhead down here. SJP World Media. definitely follow all the shows. Listen to the Doctor Who podcast. That's coming back. Check out Morty on the pub quiz, which we were exiled from. Bit out of order, but I'm sure it's a good listen anyway. What Charlie thinks, brilliant. Probably the best podcast that this network puts out. So if you're not listening to that, why not? That's ridiculous. Get listening to it. Tyler, check out his content because that guy's a fucking star. Probably one of the best podcasters that we've ever been involved with. And everything else that's on this show, on this network. It's the best network for podcasts, no matter what you're interested in. Benny, check out some of Benny's content because that guy works damn hard to provide content. So yeah, do all that. Follow us all. Follow this show because obviously we're the flagship, way more important. We should be getting all of the views. We want 1 million subs on the YouTube by the end of the week because me and Sarah want to be able to sit back and just live off your money, your advertising money. So come on, stop being stingy. We've made the wish that we want this to be our job. Make it happen, people. At @chain_wrestling. Anything else?
I was literally going to ask, are you going to tell people where they can find the show? But you did. So
yeah. And here on the YouTubes, it's at SJP World Media. That should be the no cultaholic, no fucking what culture wrestling. Should be this. This should be your only place. And maybe Tom Collier as well, because he's all right. But mainly this.
We're on Facebook as well, but that aside, mate, I think you've covered it.
I don't have Facebook. Fuck Facebook. Twitch. Follow us on Twitch as well. We do have Twitch.
We are on Twitch, yes. We are. Well, there you go. I've got nothing else to say, Maxie. I'm done. So down goes my pen. I'm finished.
Well, that's awkward. Are you not good? Are you not going to say anything in this outro then?
I'm off now to have a bit of birthday cake.
Cool. Barry Windham hates birthdays and he says Sharon has a shitty birthday.